Hey everyone, welcome to the UFO Hub live stream, and today is open lines where I hope that you guys call in and share your stories, metaphysical, spiritual, alien, UFO, whichever stories you have. It's basically just a online day for us to hang out, share ideas, talk about whatever you want to talk about. Usually, like I mentioned often, I used to go to meetings all the time, but since that's not possible for me, not because of any other specific restrictions. I'm just hours and hours away from most of the meeting places that I would love to go. And so I figured, why not start this online, and at least all of you can enjoy this from the comfort of your own home. So as I said, we will get into stories, and I have Mark. I'm just going to use his first name, send me a picture. I believe he said he took this himself. Didn't get a chance to ask him where this happened, but it's basically a very interesting picture of a UFO, an unidentified flying object. And so I wanted just to see what you guys think. He wanted me to give him my opinion on it, and I had no answers. I just told him maybe if I could share this, maybe some people out there watching this might have seen it or might actually know what it is. And then of course, Fab22 made me aware last Wednesday, he was chatting up a storm in the chat rooms about H.R.4350, which is kind of in the process of being sent to the House and in Congress. House and Senate to then eventually hopefully be passed, but it has some very interesting, UFO / UAP language in it. So anyway, we will get into all of that, and I beg your patience. Usually these, I don't have any restrictions on time. I know some of you just want me to get to the point, and I understand, but some things I want to get into first, and it's been something that's been on my mind for quite a while now. And it's about preparedness itself for the coming months. And I was debating whether or not I even should say something, because for one, of the nature of the information and how I live my life and how information comes to me and how I choose to then take action upon it, which generally is not considered by, by all standards to be a normal way, and so there's that aspect of this information. And two, it's the aspect of how I initially intend to deliver it, because my way of speaking my mind is, I don't think it's anything extraordinary, but it tends to sometimes be decisive about certain things, so it excludes certain people. It can get political, so I was debating. I don't want people basically just kind of tune out because of things they don't like about me and really overlook the message. But my general struggle with it is that about 3 months ago, I had yeah, actually, let me go back, and again, I beg your patience just to let me kind of formulate this. I tried my best to kind of think about this ahead of time, to just give that to you straight, get it out with, and be done with it. But I don't know why I'm having such a struggle and difficulty with it. So when it came to the pandemic and all the stuff that was happening, I had absolutely no reaction. Not that I didn't care. It was about the fear mongering that was happening. I just wasn't biting. I was at peace. When the stores were selling out of things, and we have a young child and there was no diapers, we were basically had to make do with other things. Not that big of a deal. No panic. The, we just did whatever we had to do because of other people that were in that state of panic and generally. When they still to this day keep pushing the certain narrative, and you all know what I'm talking about, I'm not on board with it at all, basically. And so I guess it's not just an ignorant no. There's a lot that I would love to be able to just tell you why it is, what I believe, and what I know to be true, but I can't, because the general UFO channel will suffer because of YouTube's ignorance, because it's a narrative, it's propaganda, and any other information is not allowed. And when it does come out, it's considered, fake news or otherwise. And that's when you know that as a free society, we're in trouble. So, excuse me. Anyway, so I'm intending this to kind of, whatever I would like to say about this is this will kind of also be a message to friends and family, and of course all of you as you're watching, that I would like for it to kind of go out in these ways. So I'm speaking to, in many ways, to many people, but for different reasons. Because even some close friends I haven't really discussed this with, and they would, as I record this today and send this out to them and ask them to watch this because I want them to know about this, they would be finding out about this for the very first time. So being into UFOs is not generally, in the beginning, especially if you care what society has to say, it's not easy, because if you want other people to like you, if you want other people to accept you, UFOs was definitely not the subject. Of course, things have changed over the years for me. It's been 20 years, so obviously, it's a very different story. But the point is that there's a lot of friction, a lot of basically arguments and losing friends and turning off others when it could have been beneficial for certain situations, maybe not to bring up UFOs or be so persistent about certain things. But anyway, I did not let that turn me away of what I needed to know, what I wanted to find out, especially in the early days. So the information, as time goes on, the information that I've been receiving and the information that I got about all the things that I wanted to know about UFOs, that some of you know that started this channel, it didn't always come to me in conventional ways, to where a person would speak to you and say something and you go, oh, okay, that's great info, I'll look it up, I'll get back to you about it later. It was always strong feelings, strong intuition, and a lot of times, I want to call it. It wasn't always a auditory message, but it would be vibrations basically. It would be energy that kind of overcomes you, and that energy then translates itself into feelings that I could then translate into words, and then you can write them down. Some people call that automatic writing. Others call it channeling, whatever you want to call it. But I've always kind of based my life on a lot of on a lot of that information that had come to me to basically start this channel. It's kind of weird. It wasn't a person that spoke to me. It was basically a download that showed me the logo, showed me the reasons, the reason why I have the skills that I do, the technical skills, the know how to set it up to make it happen. So this alternate way of receiving information is nothing new to me, but that's not generally accepted by what you call the normal people. And so that's why what I wanted to speak to you about next, it's not about fear at all. It's just about, it was about a personal decision about, do I share this and isolate or alienate more people that are close to me? Or do I not say this, but then feel bad and just pretty much, hate myself for the rest of my life for not bringing it up when I brought it up, because of probabilities. And what I will be talking about are probabilities. It's not future telling, but it's a probability as I see it, from this moment on, or for the past few months, that I want to then convey to you and convey to everyone else for something to look into. I silently tried to do it by having some guests on and just having them kind of talk about it, and so kind of give you their perspective. And they mentioned preparedness, but it was just kind of my subtle hints. I don't know if some of you even picked up on that. I mean, there were great guests in general, but they all had a theme about preparedness. So let me then, I guess, cut to the chase. About 3 months ago, and because of, like I mentioned, a lot of the things where the world was just turning itself upside down, I was at total peace. I wasn't freaking out about anything. I was not worried about anything. When, like I said, stores were selling out, I wasn't worried, even with children and a family and how we are. There was just absolutely no fear, and we weren't reacting to anything. So about 3 months ago, I just kept getting these very strong, urgent feelings. And this is the part where, to a normal person, this is absurd. But it was a very strong intuition to just, not like I was mentioning in previous shows, not in a fearful way, but it was like, you have this generator that you had for years. Why don't you start setting it up? The studio was built based on that very, very urge, which happened over a year and a half ago now, which I just followed up. And little did I know, the pandemic, I want to call it, because I can't use those words anymore. The point here is that people were hurt, people died. It is a real thing, but it was not worth to the exaggeration on the level that they keep claiming to this day. And so the whole point is that the same feeling that made me then build the studio, and then it turned out that this was exactly what I needed during this time, because I couldn't meet people in person, not because of my own fear, but theirs. I couldn't go to places. There were no more conference, none of that. So this was established. That was by following one of those strong feelings, strong senses, to where things weren't exactly spelled out to me, but it was a strong push that just do this. And so about 3 months ago, I've had it again. And so it started with the generator. but then it wouldn't lay off. And so because it's challenging when you're to give you an example, when you're in open field and you can see wide and clear, and somebody just tells you duck, you're like, why do I need to duck? What's happening? Because you can't see what's going on because everything appears clear to you, right? And it's almost this nonsensical, like, why am I ducking? If I see maybe an airplane coming, I can understand. If I see something coming at me, I can understand, right? That's a reasonable reaction to a strong message like that. And so it was the same thing for me to do the same. It's like, why? Why am I doing this again? And so, excuse me. So what I had then told my wife is, I said, when you go shopping, just pay attention to a store. Just pay attention. This was 3 months ago. When you go, does everything cost the same? For the same amount that you spent, last week and the week before, can you get the same stuff, for exactly that amount again, or do prices change? And so I've been doing a little bit, but it's been getting 3 months later to where my wife has been progressively seeing meat has gone up in prices, food has gone up in price. And so, all these things that based on that feeling months ago, it's finally happening by asking her just to pay attention. And so what I'm basically wanting to convey to all of you is that I would rather you call me a Looney Tune and all kinds of names and be mad with me and not want to watch or listen to anything what I have to say, and and nothing happening, then basically what the feeling is, what might be happening, coming and you being in that trouble and me not having said anything, because I can live with the first one as a human with emotions and feelings. I can't live with the second one. And so again, because I cannot give you specifics, because I cannot tell you, hey, there's this and that's been happening that you can personally follow, that you can say, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Thanks for the heads up. I'll pay attention to this, because of the nature of a feeling that I can't expect everyone to believe and follow. That's why I'm so hesitant to want to talk about it, because it would have been easier to just get a feeling, do what I need to do based on it, and then just if and when something happens, be just fine. But then everyone else that I could have said something to would be in greater trouble. And so anyway, that's why I'm wanting to basically speak up now and just tell you, without any fear, without having to overreact, without having to go and empty out your bank account and whatever, to just for the next 6 months, to basically, try to have whatever you can have and just have a little extra of, whether you have a freezer to have it ready or some kind of alternative way of maybe heating, especially since winter is coming, and the some obviously food, and then other like little stoves, whatever it is that you can. And I could go into greater detail, because a long time ago, while before all this was happening, I was basically learning about all these things that are just now coming out, about everything that we know is happening behind closed doors when it comes to governments. But those were all things that I and a very few crazies online knew about and strongly believed and followed, only to see this Orwellian world building up right now. And so as part of that long time ago process, just because it was fun, not because of some kind of great fear. I got into prepping and got into what do you need to do to prepare, what do you need to do to keep yourself warm, what food gives you the most calories, and things like that. Just this basic information that I basically lived there for a while. I was also a member for a while there, and you guys can look it up online. It's called the Zombie Squad, and it's basically just a group of people that kind of felt the same way, that are about preparedness, whether there might be an earthquake, whether there would be a storm somewhere, or power outages, or nation or citywide problems, to be able to be a more of a proactive member to help others, to where, because you live a more prep like life and have your bug out bag and have things ready and have extra food and have extra things, so you can go out and help others. And so it's a really cool group to be part of. And I was very happy just to have gone, because there were a really great group of people that were knowledgeable about a lot of different things. So I'm forever grateful for those memories. But the point is that for some reason they fucked up during this pandemic, and they weren't able to push it as hard as they thought they needed to get everyone on board, in fearing and being subdued and subservient. And basically, it dragged out longer than it had to be for all these different programs, so to say. And there's quite a possibility, whether it would be this specific scenario or another, to where they come flu season again, that they're going to double, triple, quadruple down on everything. Lockdowns, and which states. I'm not trying to keep it political. I'm going to stay to the true to the information, which means factories shutting down again, certain things closing down, not being able to produce as much, which then, where before, the first time around, it created shortages because of people's panic and what the news told them to panic about. This time around, it could cause a lot more serious problems to the infrastructure. And so that means, I don't know how long it can take for, something that breaks to fix itself again. But the point is to, without panicking right now, to just, if you can, get a freezer. If you can, maybe provide yourself with a little generator that you can then run the essentials on, or for whatever may be coming. Because I know, just from normal standpoint, and you guys have experiences before, while I was on the air, I lost power. And it's just generally, even in perfect conditions for my area, it's not a very reliable grid, especially for where I live. So even more so, there's reasons for me to have more alternative, I guess, sources of fuel for the family and for our general comfort, because that's all when it comes down to it. And so, anyway, don't want to digress. The whole point is that it's this feeling that it could, if, and it's a big if, something doesn't change or divert that possibility. If something big enough information comes out, I don't know if the Project Veritas information, about the, certain procedure that has just recently come out, if that might be the big news. For some people, it's already too late. There's no talking to them, and I don't know. Some people that I'm referring to would be the people that I'll be sending this video to, and so I'm giving them a lot of cannon fodder to basically just shred this apart of what I'm trying to say. But the channel is, it is here to talk about UFOs, but the side effect of, the closer you get to the UFOs, the more you realize that everything is interconnected. And so that weird things like channeling or strong feelings or vibrations and things like that are a very normal part of this UFO phenomena. And so, and then you have to take everything else that comes with it. And so, because I've always lived my personal life that way, to where whatever inkling I would get, whatever information I would get, I would follow it, and it hasn't weirded me, off course. It's the same thing now, that if hopefully, if all goes well and things get exposed enough to where things can get back to sanity, at least. I don't know that they can ever get back to normal, but at least back to sanity, to where we can critically look at certain scenarios. And so that would divert a worst outcome. If it doesn't, then sometime 3, 6, to a year, depends on when this exactly happens. Months, I mean, 3 months, 6 months, or to a year, to however long they're trying to roll this out. And so, and it could also, for whatever this is the difficult part, is that is the connection that I'm drawing, because of this is why I'm being pushed to do it, but then this is what's happening. So naturally, I'm still human. I can't always connect the dots perfectly. So that's why I'm immediately seeing. Could it be for any other reason that something else might happen? Very well. I have no idea exactly what that is. But all I know is that the same inkling, the same feeling that drove me to do everything in my past 15, 20 years is, come up again. And I feel like I have to share it with all of you, to just simply tell you that, is that I'm sorry it can't be factually based like most people want it to be. I'm sorry it cannot be earthly based, that I can show you papers and point in things and point at stuff and show you videos. And I don't know how much good that would be, that would work for you if you don't believe it, what I'm saying anyway. So I do realize that it is a very absurd point that I'm making this message to you based on this feeling. And because I live very much in this so-called normal world, but I live in it in a very unusual ways. And so that's why I found it difficult to want to tell you this, to where basically, for just to get more prepared, at least, get to know your neighbors, get to know people that are immediately going to be in your surrounding. I don't have that much of a problem, because I pretty much know most of my neighbors, and we're, in really good terms. We help each other out. Just today, I talked to my neighbor. He has cows, so I'm getting half beef, as he calls it, and so there'll be quite a bit of meat, basically, for the family, and we're getting some other things ready. And so I wanted to basically say this. I do hope that then the future, whatever is coming up, and within the next 6 months or more, to where you look back on this and say you were fucking crazy, they didn't have to do any of this. But at least whatever you're preparing for, you can easily use it up. You just have an extra food that you can use up, that you're stored up, and it's not going to be that big of a disposition to you. Don't do anything overly crazy, to where, you like uproot and leave to a different state just because your state will lock down. And if that doesn't happen, then of course you'll be referring back to me and saying, you're the one to blame because you told me I need to be ready. And so anyway, I think I said all that I need to say. I hope it reached you on some level, in some way. If you have some more questions, of course we can talk about it. and that's why I'm here for other things, but we can certainly discuss this if a question comes up about it some more. But anyway, just wanted to put this information out there and leave it be, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, I would rather you be ready and safe and me having told you than me being ready and safe and not having told you, which that would be a very shitty thing to do. So anyway, that's it. That's regarding the preparedness. If you guys, I mean, there's plenty of videos out there that can help out to just do some sensible preparedness steps, and it's also something I can personally talk about at great length because it's been part of my life for quite a bit. I always want to blame it the war in Bosnia and us fleeing that kind of always left me in this constant state of readiness. But I hope that over the years I've learned this balance, because you attract what you love and you attract what you fear. And I haven't been fearful about any of this stuff. And even to this day, I'm not. It's just a feeling of, it's like, you gotta go, gotta do this. And I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. So I'll leave it at that. And let me see here who we got in the chats. Boy, you guys are already chatting it up here. Lala, welcome. Lala says, so I heard we're going to have our first alien contact between September 21st and December 22nd. Lala, I hope you can download Telegram, and it's in the description below to find the chat room and to log in to hopefully talk to me, and then you can discuss a little bit more of what you heard. And I'm sure everyone else tuning in today would love to hear it, where you heard that as well. Fab22, welcome. Nick, hello. Sweet Sketch 3, welcome. Crypto, welcome. Lottie Baker, welcome. Kevin Coakley, welcome. I'm sorry if I'm Coakley. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Steve, hello. And Bobby, yawn. Well, my friend, maybe you should go to bed and not watch the show. Elijah, John, welcome. Perfectly put, brother. We must help those we can and not be concerned about the rest. Well, I mean, it's one of these things because it's been 8 years. I've been trying to make this connection for people to understand there's more to UFOs. These personal stories, these weird things that are generally not accepted, is very much part of UFOs. And even to this day, I get some jackass online that just goes like, "What's it got to do with UFOs?" I'm like, I'm sorry, just you need to do more due diligence. John Draper, welcome. Grandmaster, welcome as well. Okay. Edward, welcome as well. All right. Okay, so let's get going. I'm gonna go into. Let's cover this here real quick. Let's go over to the browser. So this was a picture that was sent to me by Mark, as I mentioned earlier, and he had originally taken two photos. One, just nothing there, and the second one, this little black dot appeared where you see that red square, and I've zoomed in and enhanced it some so you can see what it Possibly could be. And like I said to Mark, I said, well, this is a UFO in every sense of the word. I personally don't know what it could be. Especially if those two pictures that were taken were one after another. For something like this to just appear, it couldn't have been and he mentioned this too. It couldn't have been a helicopter, airplane, because of the weather conditions, and a balloon. You would have seen it coming for quite a while and just moving around. So if some of you know what this is and want to chat me up under ufohub.net, at the very bottom there's a contact link, and to just let me know, and I could forward this to Mark, or you can, if you've seen this as well. I'm sorry that I don't know the city too. I should have asked him. I was too busy doing all kinds of other stuff, so I just asked if I could share this, and he gave me the permission. I was like, okay, let's create this graphic, and I moved on. So I apologize that I cannot tell you where this happened. But if you've seen this before, if you can speak a little bit to it, feel free to call in over Telegram or leave a comment. Okay, now I want to get into some of the more interesting stuff that our government has been up to. The United States government. So this is from GovTrack, and it's about the H.R. 4350 and Fab. Actually, let me see, Fab, would you be able to come online now and just to be here while I quickly cover this, and you can add your 2 cents to it as well, since you're the one that told me about it last week? If yes, just raise your hand. If not, I'll just keep going and keep covering what I wanted to cover. So what this is just a quick, on the gov.track is a just explanation of H.R. 4350. It's the National Defense Authorization Act for the fiscal year of 22. And what the NDA basically is, it's basically the federal budget process. It says the federal budget process occurs in 2 stages, appropriations and authorizations. This is an authorizations bill which directs how federal funds should or should not be used. It does not set overall spending limits, however, which are the subject of appropriations bills. Authorizations are typically made for single fiscal year, October 1st through September 30th of next year, but are often renewed in subsequent law. So this page is just basically to show you when it was introduced, which was July 2nd. This, I believe, was a major point, the September 2nd, where it got pushed on to be publishing the text. Some amendments were added, and it's basically still has the House and Senate to be approved before it gets signed. And so what I want to tell you about is this very interesting fact about it. I have the link of this particular bill in. I have the link in the description below. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I have to search again. All right. And so what's interesting about this is that there was an amendment added by a gentleman from Arizona. I do not have the name. I'm sorry about that, but I will probably look it up later. And this is section 1652, establishment of office to address unidentified aerial phenomena. And so what this states is that not later than 180 days after the date of the enactment of this act, the Secretary of Defense, in coordination with the Director of National Intelligence, shall establish an office within the office of the Secretary of Defense to carry out on a department-wide basis the mission currently performed by the United Aerial Phenomena Task Force as of the date of the enactment of this act. That's a mouthful. So basically, they're establishing a UAP office. I wish they would call it UFO office, but I don't know. Government has their reasons. So this is quite lengthy. So basically, it says the duties to the office established under subsection A shall include the following. 1. Developing procedures to synchronize and standardize the collection, reporting, and analysis of incidents regarding unidentified aerial phenomena across the Department of Defense. 2. Developing process and procedures to ensure that such incidents from each military department are reported and incorporated in a centralized repository. So basically, they're going to start casing these incidences so that they actually have a place where it can be reported to, collected, and then possibly analyzed later on. So this is a whole list of these things that this office is supposed to do. But I just want to revert your attention real quick so we don't spend all day reading this, because I'm a slow reader. These two parts that are very interesting. This is, I don't know if it's a subsection, whatever they call it, but this is section I. I'm sorry about my ignorance about these things, but it says an update on any efforts underway on the ability to capture or exploit discovered unidentified aerial phenomena. So either they're expecting to capture one, or they already have discovered something or already have it. This is my assumption that this can go either way, to where that this could also possibly mean that they have already a UFO that they can, I guess, exploit something from it, its technology or whatever. And then the second interesting part, it says an assessment of any health-related effects for individuals that have encountered unidentified aerial phenomena. So again, I don't know if they're speaking of from the point of view of knowing that there is effects, and so they need to analyze those as well to people physically, or if it's just being prudent and putting that down in this section. So this whole amendment was basically added to it, and it's section 1652. So I have the link below. Knock yourself out. I hope you take your time to research this, for those that are very much into paperwork and all that kind of stuff. As you know, I cover it because it's related, but it's not something I'm generally interested in. But I want to make you all aware of it. So those that are interested, you can look it up yourself as well. Okay. All right. Let's see here. That concludes this part. And so let me see here. There were, Polly was on there earlier. Polly, if you could raise your hand again if you're interested. If not, I'll leave you be. You had your hand raised. I don't know if this makes you drop the hand after a while or what, but I believe you wanted to come on and talk to me. So Frank, welcome. Hazel, welcome as well. All right, let's see here. Okay, New Jersey UFO secret space chemtrails. All right, well, I'm sorry. I don't know what you're referring to. If it's referring me annoying you, can't change that. Kevin Coakley, what inspires you mostly? Well, I just, I don't have long-term goals generally, just do what I got to do on a daily basis and do it the best way I know how. Edward says, why do alien contract, maybe meant to say contact everyone, show themselves? Could they want to control us or use us like we use tag animals, sperm, and I don't know. Well, Edward, it's a I don't know. That's a subject that it could take quite a while, and we could discuss that at whatever later date. I could maybe make some points to cover it, because those people that, especially, I guess they call it CE5 now. If you're interested in UFOs, you could simply just by meditating and just having your pure intent day after day, basically getting your bodily vibration in the right state to where then you are more open, more welcoming for something like a UFO to appear, or to make that kind of connection, because we don't think about vibrations in these terms very much, but how we are is pretty much like a bullhorn, constantly just kind of spewing out there energetically, and based on that is how you attract people, how you attract certain scenarios in your life. And so that's the same type of scenario when it comes to all these different beings that you might just think it's just you by yourself at a certain place, but you've been screaming out into the universe this whole time just by your emotions and your intent. And so, of course, that attracts, you know, everything that's around you. So the more intention and a certain vibration you put out, the more likely it is for you to then have contact on your own, whether it be just something appearing at a distance, and basically then it's up to you to explore it some more and figure out what else you can do and where that's going. Okay, Polly, I'm gonna unmute you, and you want to unmute yourself on your end, and you should be able to talk to me. Can you hear me? Polly, are you there? Um, I'm not hearing anything. I guess I'll leave you unmuted until something comes through. Okay, we'll see. We'll see if he gets through there. But anyway, Edward, I hope that kind of answers your question in short. We could talk about this, at length, but I basically, since it's open lines, I want to give everyone else an opportunity to also come on.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How are you?
I'm okay. I was having a little trouble because when I do the Telegram and you start showing something, I go to YouTube. I had a comment. I think that picture you've shown. Do you remember a few weeks ago I called and I asked everybody if they've seen unusual things that look like they might be balloons or planes, but there's something wrong about it? And I think someone commented. But when you showed that picture, it reminded me of something I saw here in the city in LA during the day, just like that. It looked very, very similar.
Right.
And I was actually in an Uber in the morning, a little hungover, and I didn't think to take a picture. But it was I guess a couple days later when I revisited what I saw, I was like, "What was that?" Because it looked like a square block. It had the same shape, and I guess it kind of looked like balloons, but it was way too big. It was black, and it had that kind of shape where it's bumpy at the top, but it was flat at the bottom.
Right.
And I don't know, when you showed that picture, it really jogged a memory. And
Yeah, I vaguely
think
remember you mentioning that. I'm sorry that it didn't
uh,
immediately pop out at me, but now that you mention it, yeah, it's. I mean, with all these different crafts, unless somebody takes kind of detailed archive of it and keeps track of pictures or drawings or whatever, it's difficult to keep up.
yeah, well, when I see stuff like that, I don't even bother taking a picture because I have an iPhone, and even if you take a picture of like a full moon, it doesn't come out very well. So I don't even bother taking pictures anymore. But when you see something with your eyes, you kind of see what it really is. I don't know if people are getting pictures these days of flying saucers like people used to have a long time ago, but
Right.
when I see stuff, it looks weird like that. It doesn't. It just looks out of the ordinary. It doesn't have a shape that looks man-made. It just, sometimes some of the stuff just looks parked in the sky, and it's just a bizarre shape. And sometimes it changes form if you watch it real closely. So that was my comment. I also, when you were talking earlier,
Hmm.
and I noticed you were coaching your words a little bit. Part I'm sure is out of politeness and out of censorship issues. But have you ever thought about? And I noticed there's other, I guess we'll call them YouTubers, when they talk about certain subjects, they kind of use code words. You ever thought about doing a? I think Telegram's a little more liberal on these things. Maybe I think it's from Russia, but do you ever think about doing a time delay on your YouTube stream and then just doing what the newscast does when someone goes off script and just hit the mute? You
Oh,
know
I
what I'm
see.
saying?
Well, I could, because the whole reason why I have Telegram, and that's why I always encourage people to sign up for Telegram, is because I want to set up this alternate form. So on Telegram, I could just let loose, and just talk to everyone that's on there. That's why I encourage everyone that's pretty much signed up to YouTube to go to Telegram, because on Telegram now they also allow video, and I can't do it right now because my system kind of goes wonky. I have to figure out why, but I try to also repatch and send the signal out to Telegram so you can also watch this as it's going on. But it seemed like that voice is just best for now. But I could then just have these, different talks and things uncensored, basically, to where I can just say however I want to say it without needing to worry about it. Because what I have to say now is a temporary thing, right? But it can have long-term consequences to the channel. So I don't want to put the whole UFO Hub channel basically in jeopardy just for something that is pretty much on the grander scale of things a temporary thing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So saying something now that won't be relevant maybe a year from now, now it cost me a channel, and now all the other things that are sticking more and more to just to what the channel is about now can't be discussed. You see what I'm saying? That's the whole point of censoring. Not that I'm afraid of somebody might come after me or something like that. It's just because I don't know what idiots I'll be dealing with when it comes to YouTube, and they just, I guess the
Yeah. It
algorithm,
was
if it
more
picks
like if
me up.
YouTube has audio detection algorithms that flag
Yeah,
certain keywords, and
correct.
then yeah. So anyway, that's a thought. But yeah, I'll let you go. I'm gonna listen in. But yeah,
That's all right.
when I saw
I
that
don't. No one
picture,
else
it
raised
looked
their hands, but thanks. Yeah. Well, you know what? When it
yeah.
comes to what I wanted to say is something real quick, and before you go, um, a lot of people, and I've mentioned this before, when you have an experience, right, something shows up or appears, they always think that they happen to be at the right moment at the right time to capture a picture, right? That they're lucky they got it, and that it's a rare thing, and they move on with that kind of mindset. They don't realize that that does not happen by accident. If it happens to you, it happens for a reason, and then it's up to you to kind of, in whichever way you see fit, to start looking into it more. instead of just thinking that you were just there by accident and at the right time at the right moment. It happened to you, so you need to go and look out. It's we kind of always do, things that we always, when something happens here, we always go to somebody else to solve our problem. We're sick, you go to a doctor to tell you what's wrong, right? Because we're so disconnected from our bodies, we don't have that ability anymore. When there's something wrong with our car, instead of, being the intelligent and smart beings that we are, instead of knowing by ourselves, we just say, oh, that's beyond my scope, I'll go to somebody else. Another human, mind you, to tell me what's wrong with my car. Very few people spend the time to actually then just use their natural abilities as humans to learn, right? They always just think, well, this is above my head, I'm not smart enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, and they just send it off to somebody else. So anyway, don't want to digress, but the point is, if something like this occurs to you, it happened for you. You need to look into it now. Whether it's just to push you into the direction of looking into UFOs if you haven't before, or whether it would be, some other direction or path that action will then now have pushed you into. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. Good. And yeah, you're right about how I think people have a lot more things that they can learn and teach themselves. I think because everything's so specialized now with careers, that people focus on a particular thing that they want to be good at.
Right.
And there's so many services that you could give money to fix even the smallest problem. I think a lot of people kind of lost. I don't even know how many people, when they get a flat tire, even bother changing it themselves anymore. Instead, they just pull out their phone and call and wait. Instead of
Yeah, and that's a simple of things. Those are the that's the simple things. Well, because it's yeah. I mean, I don't want to make this about The point is, yeah, I get your point. It's like we have a lot more smarts than we all give ourselves credit, and I don't know, people just don't take it. They just believe the limitations that they're taught from childhood to, you can only know one thing at a time, and maybe even the one thing you might not know better because there's always somebody smarter.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the
No,
advice.
well, at least I'm glad you got to then get a confirmation a little bit that someone else has a photo of what you were kind of talking about a while back. So um, it just sucks that it's important for. I just wish Mark then would have then paid maybe attention to his dreams after, or some other things that might be happening, to just kind of jot it down, record it, and then let us know. Okay, all right, thanks, Paulie. Mute that here. Yeah, so if any of you out there that have any of your stories that you would like to share, you can either use Telegram to listen, like some of these people are, or you can log in to share your story and talk to me directly about whatever it is, whether it's UFO related, metaphysical, crypto. Very few do I have people call in to talk about, Bigfoot or chupacabra. That's apparently not so much a bigger topic now. It used to be in the early 90s, and I had a very good friend of mine that inadvertently got me, to, I guess, got me to start recording and learning more about cameras, but Joe Palermo, he passed away now, but he was down in, was that Mexico or Puerto Rico? Where they were having a huge influx of chupacabra sightings. And I guess chupacabra in Spanish means goat sucker or something like that. I could be mistaken. I don't want to give you misinformation, but a lot of animals around there were starting to just kind of be attacked, and then they find their corpses, and it's there's a video he recorded of the um, local doctor kind of analyzing the different animals. And what's interesting specifically about the chupacabra was that there were one or two only entry points but entire organs were missing. And so they were trying to figure out how that happened. You know, if there was all these theories about possibly, you know, some kind of creature that has a tongue that can go in and specifically point out and just suck out or something or do whatever to these certain organs. But anyway, there was there were stories, you know, there was and films and videos that are out there about it. If some of you are interested, I think that video is still online, and it's actually him talking about it. It's quite lengthy because he goes into quite a bit of detail, and so anyway, I haven't had a chance to talk to anyone besides him regarding the chupacabra phenomena there for a while. And then you know, all these other things too. You know, creatures that you know that are just obviously very weird or unconventional. That's hence the name cryptoids. Fab, you are unmuted here. Unmute yourself on your end. You should be able to talk to me.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine. How are you?
Good evening. Well, good morning over here anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not too
hold
bad,
on,
not too
hold
bad.
on.
Keeping up. So yeah, I'm glad. Yeah,
Hold on, you're like super fast talking now. Keep going, like you were.
yeah, I'm having some wee trouble with technology.
Okay, you were better. You're better. Just keep going. We'll see what happens.
All right. Okay. Good. Well, I'm glad you had time to check out that little Congress thing. It's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking about contacting that senator from Arizona and to see if he would be interested to come on to talk about it and why he suggested it, why he put it out there. So that would be something
Yeah,
to hear. Well, because it hasn't gone through all the motions to pass, but if it does pass, we're going to have an established office of you know, UAP information collection, I guess, for lack of a better word, a UAP office, an unidentified flying phenomena. No, unidentified aerial phenomena. I don't know what I'm talking about. Do they, Fab, can you hear me, or did you just drop off again?
No, I'm just listening to you.
Okay, good deal. What about France? Do they have something similar to it, or do they say, those crazy Americans?
Well, interestingly enough, we had 3 weeks ago. We had the ex director of our intelligence over here. You know, it's kind of CIA on NSA, you know, and FBI merged together, called DGSE, and he's retired from there. But he had a very interesting interview with the head as well of what you would call a Blue Book, I suppose. Huh? You used to have a program called Blue Book. You know,
Blue Book
everybody knows
Project,
about
yeah.
that. So yeah, Blue Book Project. Yeah, so we've got that going in over here. You know, since many years. It's called GEPAN, by the way.
Okay, you dropped off again. Hello.
GEPN. And so they went on the thing for about an hour and a half. For about yeah.
You dropped off.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I barely heard you say the name of the French department, and then you dropped off.
It's it's GEPAN, GEPAN, and he's the active director right now. You know, it's still going. And yeah, they had a very interesting conversation for about an hour and a half. I was quite surprised actually. And basically, what came out of that is yes, we are going to have disclosure, but it's going to take time. Right? So they are working on it. They're just waiting for the information to very slowly seep out into the population. And when everything is done very smoothly, then they will go ahead with the plan. But it's going to take time. That's what they basically said.
Right.
So yes, there will be disclosure, but with time. So
Oh, you broke off again.
they're sort of looking in a time frame about 5 to 15 years. Yes, they are looking to have disclosure in waves, and it should take between 5 to 15 years.
Oh, okay, got it. Well, well, with in that document, it also said, let me see, it said something about, I don't want to, I want to miss it here. It said something about, sometimes it takes a while looking through all this shit.
Yeah, it's quite big, huh?
Yeah, it says an update on the coordination by the United States with allies and partners on effort to track, understand, and address unidentified aerial phenomena. So I'm assuming they would be
Yeah,
cooperating with other countries, or do they mean
that's right. It's
partners
quite cool.
as like different corporations maybe that do whatever? So I'm assuming allies means other countries. Or even here,
I kind of
identification
assume
of,
that too. Yeah.
hold on one second. It said identification of any incidents or patterns regarding unidentified aerial phenomena that indicate a potential adversarial foreign government may have achieved a breakthrough aerospace capability. Okay, well, first they're paranoid about someone else achieving higher technology, and then they're like, "We'll work with them." In the next
Yes, yes.
paragraph.
I think in the report it says something like as new technology from competitors or adversaries,
Right, right,
and
right,
after that you got all from unknown origin,
right, right.
and this
Well, it's quite a packed it's quite a
yeah,
packed
and this is
document.
like
You
pushed
really,
really
I would
quite
really
high in
recommend
Fiscal.
people to go through it.
It's quite mind blowing. Yeah, it's mind blowing. Things are definitely moving up. They seem to be taking it seriously, and there seem to be also some people from Department of Defense trying to put a certain aspect of it a bit more in the open. Right. Another aspect as well, which I thought was quite big, is to actually form a survey to find, what kind of effects or affect people have when they actually interact with the UAPs, being on a psychological level or a physical level.
Right,
So they are also more or less, putting it out there that there are people actually getting in contact with the UAPs, and those people they need to be basically looked after, and see what sort of change it produced when these people have been interacting with UAPs. That's huge. That's really really big.
right,
And if this amendment actually goes through, that would be quite interesting, because on a legal point of view, they're just gonna have to look at it very very deeply.
right. Well, yeah, I was wondering what they
If you
exactly.
understand.
Yeah, I was wondering exactly if they're, I was saying if they're just trying to be. A lot of these things, it's you could take it. They're trying to be prudent and covering all the aspects of what could possibly happen, or you know, that they're actually talking from a knowing aspect, like they know about this, so we better incorporate that um, in the bill.
Personally, I think, if it's an amendment to go to the Senate on with this sort of topic, I'm pretty sure they've looked into it. I would be quite surprised, if they come up with a report, we don't really know what's happening. This is going all the way to the Senate, for the Department of Defense.
Yeah,
Also,
it's going to Senate. We'll see if
the
it
person in
pass.
charge of all this is
If it has to pass the House first to
it's
go
an
to
amendment.
Senate. Well, no, yeah, no,
That's right.
the amendment is there, but the overall
It's an
bill
amendment.
will be sent out. But it's in the final drafts of the amendment, so it could very well stick around and actually pass in that way, which means then that we'll have a department.
That's right. That's right. On the UAP task force basically is more or less starting to be in a process of being dismantled and being reformed by a new task force.
Right.
Actually, the person in charge of all this is, let me recall his name, Ruben Gallego. Ruben Gallego is a representative Democrat, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is not a nobody. He's very, very high up in the Department of Defense, like extremely high up. Actually, sits on quite a few boards. I believe at one stage, he was in charge of assessing what sort of response we should do in case we were attacked by nuclear force, by the Russian or so forth. So he was in charge in that,
Right.
among other things. So he's pretty much out there. He's a fairly young guy, in his 40s. He's a new kid on the block, but with really big responsibilities.
Right. Well,
So,
I don't know. Well, it's really weird for the government to just all of a sudden be this blatant in a way, because I don't know if they just use this excuse to finally do something they always wanted to do. I'm just hoping, as I always said, that it doesn't now develop into this. We've had this program, we collected the data, and based on the data, it's telling us it's a threat. That's what I'm worried about. And I should say, more concerned about, that it doesn't go into that negative aspect of it. Instead, to just be more open-minded and then start talking to contactees and then start, analyzing the data in that way, and potentially work with some of those channels and then see what happens. But I think that it's too much to ask of government. They would just be,
yeah,
to them, all
of
this
course.
stuff is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So
Yeah, well, this comes from the Department of Defense, so they are going to do their jobs. It's as simple as that.
right. Well, it's
It's as simple as
unfortunate
that. Yeah.
that they're doing their job, but they're doing their job from this fearful aspect. This this aspect of I have to cover. We have to cover our behinds, so to say, because if they've seen that there is something more to it and they're not up to speed, then of course that's gonna make the public look at them as inadequate. And it's unfortunate that they always have to be in that kind of state of fear all the time. They always have to keep themselves relevant and to tell them, this is why you need us. We're just reminding you how good we are.
Yes, of course. No, that's big brother in the family. Also, it's in a way, I am quite glad as well, just in case this crazy business of UFOs and ETs and consciousness and apparition, abductions and whatnot, just in case, something is not quite right. It is quite good, to have at least a side of the story that goes, well, listen, maybe not everything is all rosy. However, what I'm quite against, is that they take the monopoly in a story. They have their own proper story that they wish to sort of portray, and have the total, like I said, monopoly on the story, and use that for purposes and means that are not very Buddhist-like. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Right.
And also, we have the other side as well, that goes, well, listen, everything is rosy on honky dory, so let's not to worry.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it could,
So
but
yeah, and
you
I
know,
think
it's
also it
with
would
the
be, to
history
give the
of
monopole to
governments,
those
you know,
people.
when did they ever do that, really? When did they ever see, don't worry about it? You know,
Yeah,
it's just they never address it. They either dismiss it entirely or it's a problem.
it's a defense problem. Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at it that way. But at least they're starting to look at it. So it's that's the good news in the bad news. In the bad news, also, they seem to have the monopole to the spin on the
The what?
story. Being, oh, maybe it's a threat. It looks like
Wait,
a
hold
threat,
on. Back
etc. To
up a
sort
bit.
of
You broke up again. Well,
it's
back up about 10 seconds.
yeah. I was just saying, they are taking the side of going, okay, we've got a problem here. It's a threat, right? So
Right.
obviously, it's being looked on a Department of Defense as, we need to do something on that, right? So they've actually claimed the monopole on the story on this defense business. It's up to us, people interested in that, right? To just go, well, okay, let's have something a bit more civic. Let's find a way that we do not have to take this problem so seriously as being a defense. Right? But in all this, we've got politicians, and then politicians, they are not being elected by saying, there are actually UAPs out there, there are UFOs, there are people that are interacting with that. Right? People don't win election with that.
Yeah, no, they
Actually, I
don't.
think it's Hillary Clinton. That's Hillary Clinton, tried to do that, and it sort of backfired on us, on her, right?
Well, all of them get
I've actually
elected only
looked.
to say, they can't tell me more. Fab, excuse me one quick second. So just real quick, I posted a link also regarding the chupacabra stuff I was talking about. This covers several different subjects in that link that you'll see. I was directing it directly to Clothing G because she was asking about where that link may be. So this was done by my friend, late friend Joe Palermo. He, passed away obviously, but it was just his attempt to kind of connect the different stuff he's been covering and recording. So the specific segment about Chupacabra is actually coming in later. He starts out with some other things, and his beginning I find it very very cheesy, and I mean that with respect. And so anyway, but if you can watch it through, and as you watch it, you'll find that part where I was talking about where they were analyzing and talking about the different corpses, animal corpses. Okay, I'm sorry, Fab. Go on. I just had to clarify something real quick.
Oh, you got to do what you got to do. And one thing that I found quite interesting as well, I've been quite busy, wasting a lot of time actually on going on numerous sites, that deals with the UFO business or the chat show, different hubs, etc. And there is absolutely nobody at this new mandate trying to go through. Right? On here,
Hold
I'm
on,
talking
Fab.
about people like
Yeah, I'm sorry you're
Richard
breaking
Dolan.
up
I'm
again.
talking about nope. Yeah.
Yeah, go back again. I don't know why it's happening. You just go entirely silent and then you speed up like a chipmunk real quick. I guess the packets are not sending fast enough. Yeah, I can hear you now. I'd love to talk to you. I'm
Yes,
sorry
I
that the
was saying
connection
that
is so
I've looked
bad.
around on the internet on different channels, on different podcasts. Yeah, it's not super. It's not super.
Okay, the
And
podcast,
on
go on.
different podcasts, yeah, the like of Richard Dolan, all the top famous UFOlogists, that usually are so
Fab, I'm sorry. I don't know. The connection keeps dropping,
so
and
quick on giving opinions, etc. Auditioning this mandate.
the last thing I heard was Richard Dolan. Fab, I'm sorry. Let's try this again, and I don't want to keep going back and forth. It's just very difficult to listen to. It's just you keep dropping out, and the connection is just not that good. So try one more time. You said Richard Dolan, and then you dropped off. We'll try it again. If it doesn't work, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to then put you on mute.
Yeah, yeah. If it's too uncomfortable, it's not fun at all. I was just saying that this amendment, right? But we've been talking about even the top ufologists, right, are strictly saying nothing about it at all, right? And usually they are very quick to have new information, and this is passed under total silence. So I'm very glad, that you actually picked it up a little bit. And right now you are the only person in the ufology world, right, to actually talk about this, right? And I think that linked that you had, it might be a good thing, for us to perhaps share it a little bit.
Okay, I think you said to share the link.
Can
Yeah,
you
the
hear
link
me?
is available. It's in the description for that specific one, as I mentioned. So, the
Yeah.
only way to get this out there is to share the link far and wide. Any kind of information that you have. I mean, how else do others find out? But people. It depends based on the subject. They just kind of look and watch to see what's it about, and then they kind of move on. They don't necessarily inform others. I don't know, because of Facebook. I feel like the information, because in the manner people have always shared information, we got too saturated, because it made things so much easier. You'd be like walking down the street and you're just like, haha, this is funny, click share, shared all of a sudden on your wall. 5 seconds later you share it again. And so people kind of become numb to that. And so that effect of Facebook, I feel like it has affected everything else, to where if you have something important, it's not going to have that same importance as it did before, because, oh, you have a 101 thing you posted today about me to look at something. And so people are not going to be as eager to see what you have to share, And so I think that, just a personal opinion, that Facebook and the way we kind of, or me not so much because I don't have it now, but people in general are always, unless they're looking specifically for some information themselves, very few people would take the time or spend the time to stop and say, oh, somebody shared something, let me read on this, because of the frequency of how many times per day we actually can post.
Yes, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody's talking about nobody. Not even Stephen Greer, not even David Icke, not even Cameron, not even Dolan, not even Graham Hancock. Nobody is putting forth this new information that we just talked about. Nobody. I think actually Luis Elizondo mentioned it on a podcast. I think it was in Holland, in Europe, just once, and it's quite amazing, because all this is very, very big. It's big news. It's really, really big news.
Right.
Okay, Adnan, I'm going to go on listen now. Stop talking. I'm sorry, the connection is not super good. And yeah, thanks for your work once again. And pouring your heart out a little bit at the beginning. It's not an easy thing for the family. You know,
Right.
I know that for sure.
Well,
I even went.
it's out there now, so we'll see. People can either take it or leave it.
Yeah, yeah, it's complicated. I personally went through a divorce. When I mentioned to my ex-wife, that what happened to me on my beliefs and that, and it didn't take very long for that person to just go, well, listen, I really don't share that. We don't have the same values, so it's time to go. So it can be quite damaging, but
Right.
we learn by that. So thank you very much for keeping up with us, and it's very much appreciated, Adnan.
Yeah, no, thank you also for informing me of it. If you didn't say anything, I don't know that I would have found out about it. So thanks, Fab, and you have yourself a good night.
Yes, I will. Thanks. Okay, bye everyone. Ciao, ciao.
All right, bye bye. So anyway, if there's others that basically just want to share some stories, I'm gonna go through some of the questions because Kevin, it keeps blowing up the chat about trying to get my attention, and so you got it. So first of all, Kevin, I understand. I don't mean any disrespect by saying this, but I don't care if I'm losing people. What we have to talk about, what I have to say, what others talk about, it is the way it is. So, however it turns out, if it turns some people away, so be it. This is not a popularity contest. People call in or talk about the things that they feel inspired about talking, and so do I. So, if that keeps their attention, great. If not, I can't help that. This is, after all, I'm not here for ratings. So anyway, regarding that question or answer to some of your statements you're making, the other one you had, again, do I watch YouTube, and if so, what? If not, why not? Well, I mean, I would do watch YouTube, but just to basically relax, because I only have about roughly about 2 hours to just spend some time with family and watch some things. So usually we try to watch something funny, maybe eat a little something, sometimes skip meals altogether, and God knows I can afford it. And so it's not, wouldn't be anything like super, super interesting. Other than on occasion, I do like to listen to Cliff High, and basically he's this same guy. I tried to have him on, that in the '90s developed a bot or some kind of program, and this is again why I wanted to talk to him about it. Developed a program that kind of was taking in words and the chatter of the internet, and was basically making these kind of predictions even from the '90s about different stuff, about stock market, about different stuff. So anyway, it would have been cool to have him on, but he basically just responded to me saying that he's very busy and won't be able to do anything anytime soon. So I just kind of left it at that, and I don't know if we'll be able to work that out. But he's on BitChute because even he, I think, I don't know for what reason, got kicked off of YouTube, but at least he can now talk about whatever he wants to talk about freely on BitChute. So I hope that answers your question. And again, thank you, but my friend, don't worry. If people leave, they leave. If they come back, great. It's not that big of a deal. Says, have you gotten Alex Collier on your show? Not in the past, and I don't think I can now because, if I'm not mistaken, he passed away a while back. I think from cancer. This is from Art Generacia. I'm sorry, I'm butchering the hell out of that name. Tinfoil Tierra said he was spot on with Bitcoin and atmospheric rivers. Yeah, I'm not too familiar about his stuff because, like I said, if I watch something, it's mainly just we spend some time that interests my wife and I both. Unfortunately, I haven't had much time to spend with the kids, so I just see them, just they do their shenanigans, whatever they do throughout the day. The teenager is usually in his room all the time and doesn't want to see us anyway. So unless I make him come out to talk to me or answer about something silly he's done, that's about that 2 hour period that I have time to spend. Yeah, Art, if I'm not mistaken, here, let me search this real quick. Alex Collier. And Should be able to find something out there about it. Yeah, I was it 2004? Yeah, I don't it's I'll keep looking passively. But yeah, no, he I would have loved to talk to him too, because I forgot exactly, was it the Pleiadians that he was in contact with, or one of the other races? Hold on a minute. I remember distinctly seeing posts. Do not tell me that this is one of those um, um, Mandela effects. That would be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy, because there's no reason why I would not want to have him on, or at least reach out to him. You got me curious now. So Alex Collier. Andromeda, yep. Are you kidding me? Wow. I don't know what to say about that. I distinctly remember watching posts and messages about that he had died. And apparently on this Alex Collier site, he's still very much alive. Fab is saying, did you know over 70 personalities, actors, singers, and sports personalities went public on their involvement with UFO stuff? Very, very famous people. I wouldn't doubt it. You know, there was one time I was talking about, I did an interview with Dee Wallace. She played a mom in E.T., and that's kind of the role she's known for. She's also known for Cujo, I think, like a little horror thriller. Anyway, and so I was kind of asking her about that, about Hollywood and all that stuff, and she was saying that everyone in Hollywood is kind of crazy anyway, and so that UFOs and things like that is not necessarily a taboo subject, that everybody just kind of openly talks about it, you know, within each other, but not so much publicly. So, but Art, I will definitely then reach out to Alex Collier. I can't believe that I was convinced that he passed away, so I never bothered trying to reach out. And apparently, I've shifted universes and he's alive. Crazy times. So yeah, you know, it would be something to look into. I'll contact him, see what he says, and we'll hopefully make something happen. But thank you for pushing this. Otherwise, unless I would have seen it myself. Yep, it's Alex Collier is available to chat with you via Skype for one-to-one chat. Um, and got a whole thing going on over there. All right. Well, that settled it. I will reach out and I will not tell him that I thought he was dead. Oh boy. Yeah, no, it is a good shift. It says, well, then it's a good shift. It is, you know. It's just, it messes with me. Like you will not believe like how even right now as I'm sitting here, it's like It's something similar happened this morning. I know that it was a little play on things or a little trick, but what it was, I have these things that I had set up between the two trees, and I had screws screwed in, and I know these little pieces of like siding that are screwed in horizontally, and they were horizontal to each other. Well, we were walking by this morning, I looked over and the middle one was down, and I stopped, and my wife's like, "What?" I was like, "Do not tell me that this is actually," because it looks screwed in sideways, and I know every single day passing that it was horizontal to each other. And I got closer, and I could see the original screw, and that over time it just undone itself and went down. I was like, good, because I don't know that I'm ready to, deal with universal shifts today. And apparently the day is not over yet, because then this happens. Let me see. Shift over to it. There it is. Alex Collier. All right, I'll reach out when it happens. If it happens, I don't know, but there he is. Okay, enough of that then. Do-do-do-do. All right, I guess we have a little disagreement between Frank and Tinfoil Tierra. Frank says, I love to hear what Jim Carrey says about UFOs and ET. And Tinfoil says, screw Jim Carrey, I want to hear what Fire Marshal Bill has to say about it. Well, man, maybe I should. I had a while back. Ken had logged in, and I think he unsubscribed, and I think I made him mad last time, but he got into um, quite a bit of comparing and talking about different Mandela effects. And um, I was, like I said, this world is a crazy world, but there's only so far that I can even or am willing to go and draw a line, because if I can't personally confirm it, that means anyone else that's new to this can't confirm it, and it's just kind of a whole bunch of woo-woo talk. And so, anyway, he had some really good Mandela effect examples and got everyone going. And but then he made this comment that he sent an email to Jeff Bezos, and then because of Jeff Bezos got that email from him, that then he resigned. And I was like, come on, Ken, you had me going there. I mean, I respect everyone, I still do. I don't mean this in a funny way. I'm just saying that, certain experiences, you have to kind of try to draw connections to people. If you just make, all kinds of statements and things like that out there, um, you know, let me see. Lucas, I'm going to unmute you. Unmute yourself on your end, and you should be able to talk to me.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm kinda actually stressed to talk about my experience.
Oh, don't be.
I don't usually speak English, but I really wanted to share my experience for
Sure.
a long time. I'm listening to your stream, and yeah, so my experience was when I had 6, maybe less, maybe 5 years, when I was 5 years old. Uh, I I remember sleeping and being woken up, not physically, but my consciousness like opened, like I have had opened eyes, and I was seeing the sky, and I've seen 3 ships, and and I heard a voice in my head, something like, "We are here for you,"
Mm-hmm.
and 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 I was very excited, like I was waiting for this. and so I can see the ships moving, and uh, I can see, and I jumped out of my body, which I later noticed that my body was still in my bed, and I was scared of this because, you know, like it's a dead body, and I'm here. Uh, so I can see uh, now from perspective of standing in my room. I can see a light beam going out from the ship, a blue light beam going out from the ship towards the window, and I think to myself, no, 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 through the window. I want it to go through the wall, and it goes through the wall, and it does 90-degree turn, and this like a laser beam goes turns into a blue ball of light, and I look at this ball, and first thing I see like a reflection of myself. I see this is me, but later I notice there are two beings in this ball of light, and this ball of light comes towards me, and from this ball of light emerges um, actually, you know, you can I later found I googled, I looked for this, and I found Arcturians, and the being that you can google Arcturians, and the being that you can see, there is a great image, and you can see this is like the person I was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like a race. It's like this image is so good. It's like the same person. And there was with this person was actually a small gray being, and this oh, and I remember my brother was sleeping next to me, and I say to this being, because this being we had actually before that happened, she I've seen looked at her, and I was wondering like how do I know you, and she like shape shifted into, but not actually shape shifted, but she like pointed to towards projected image of uh, something that I think it's this image is image of Virgin Mary. It's like this uh, mother, but a virgin at the same time because she's so pure. And so yeah, that's that. It
Yeah.
was like a projection into my head, but later I've seen back her normal self, like this Arcturian being, and she asks me, "Do you want to go with us?" And I of course want to go. Yeah, I'm very excited, and my brother was sleeping next on other bed, but very close, and I point to my brother and I say, I want my brother to come with us. And she says, no, not says, but it was like meant. I I voiced in my head like every soul has its journey. And later, when I woke up from this experience, it was like a trigger to forget about this,
Mm.
because I woke up and looked at my brother, and I remembered every soul has its journey, and I can't share this experience with him. So this was like a trigger, which made me remember this experience after like 20 years.
Oh wow, it's quite a time.
Yeah. Uh, but I always had throughout my life. I actually remembered this experience because I was asking myself, why do I keep why do I have this image of this alien being in my head? Why it's so normal to me that they do exist? Why it why am I why it is for me that normal, you know? And for other people they question this, and for me it's like humans exist and they exist, like it's no different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sure about this. And also another, but I'll come back to this later. So we go in, we go and we go into this. I'm on her hands, and we turn back into this ball of light, and we go through the same path, go back to the ship, like as a beam of light, and and I see people through walls. I see their dreams, and it it was actually, I feel like a very long time, but at the same not that, like time is relative. So I was very contemplative during this flight from my bedroom to the ship, and I was watching these people, their dreams, and I was very very, I don't know how to describe it, but I was disappointed at the disappointed, concerned. Like, what do these people have in their heads, you know? Like, if a man sleeping with his wife, but he's thinking about other women in his office, for example. So when we get on the ship, I'm in this state of, I'm not excited anymore, you know. I'm like very concerned, and I remember this was very strange. That I remember when I was looking, because the ship was like transparent, and I've seen like waves, like distinct. When you look at the space, I've seen distinct waves, like wave 1, 2, 3, and infinite waves, and I could focus on one wave, and it was like parallel universes, but I'm not sure it was, but something like this. But this being didn't want me to focus too much on it, because I think I could, now I think about it, I could phase out maybe, like to another, like maybe state or universe. I don't know. But there was this gray still with us, and this gray had like a TV remote, something like this, and this big being. I don't know if it was really Arcturian. I don't know where. I never asked them, "What's your name? What's your origin?" It's like I always knew them. So let's
And this
call them
was a second
Arcturians for
experience, or
now.
was that still part of your first experience?
This is still the beginning of my first experience.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how much detail do you want me to go into.
However much you feel is necessary. We're all just here listening.
So this gray being, like this big being, communicated with this low gray being to comfort me, and this gray being manifested like a toy for me, and I was very disappointed with this. Like, how do you think this can do something for me? Like, how do you think this will comfort me? And so this was like a holographic projection that. So yeah, we after this situation was over, we go into total of 3 rooms. First, we go and meet, and actually, when you Google Arcturians, there is this like it's Arcturian, but it's a gray Arcturian. I think like it's I don't know, it's Arcturian, whatever, but it's gray, and it's it's the same height as the blue being, and there is a uh, there is child the same age as I was, and there was like a white light that I recognized as a toy, and I was able to move this toy with my will, and I was playing. It was like a toy. I was playing with it, and so we only said hi. I played a little with this light, and we go to the next room. In the next room, I I don't think there was any bed, but uh, but suddenly it appeared, and it was like a part of the ship, and I lay down on this, and behind me was a screen. I know it, but I didn't look at it too much. So I lay down, and a group of gray beings, this small gray beings, come in, and I'm very scared. I got very scared of them because it was all in this space that thoughts were like were not couldn't be held inside your head. It was like a sound, more like a sound, like thought was a sound that was projected outwards. So these blue beings, they had very calm minds. You couldn't you couldn't get overwhelmed by their thoughts. But these gray beings was constant chatter in in their heads that I could I could I could hear, and I could see images of their lives projecting in my head. So I instantly knew like the parts of their lives, like the food they eat, their fed, the education they receive. They are being educated, and this is part of their education. And this this big blue being comforted me, like, don't worry, you are the one important here. So I get comfortable. So they just look at the screen behind me. I don't know what it was, but I know it was like they looked deeper inside my body, maybe astral body or something. And they were showing them like this is that, this is how it's supposed to look like. So yeah, they left. So we were done, and we and it wasn't like the the goal of this experience. It was like, well, we have you here, can you do this, So I go to the next room, and I there were the there were other beings, like other races, and suddenly the even more distinct race being came out, like from a portal, like teleported there. And I don't know the race, but it was so scary. Like maybe it was like a reptilian. I remember, like, I think it was reptilian, but my vision suddenly became blurred because I was so scared of this being, how it looked like. But it didn't have bad intentions or anything, and it was aware that it was making me uncomfortable, and and maybe it was like slightly annoyed because I judged him by how he looked, but I didn't want to judge him. I was just scared. So they asked me, "Do you want to know who you are?" And I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah? What do you mean? I mean, I know who I am. But they ask me again, do you want to know who you are? And I think to myself, I know who I am. Like, what can you show me that can make me not like myself, or like, how can you surprise me? Like, what what do you mean? So I said, of course I want to know. Like, I already know who I am. So uh, so okay, you want to know who you are. So the room was round. Also, the walls were round. So in the wall was a door. It also was round, and it opened. And I go in there, and it was like I remember this because I was later dreaming about the dentist chair that I wanted to go back into. And this chair I wanted this only remembered because I recalled it 20 years later. So I only remembered it made me feel great. So I wanted to go back in it. So I sit down in it, and there is this like huge energy, like I'm being shoved through space in like maybe faster than light. I felt like my whole body started shaking, and I I thought that I'm going to disperse, like I'm going to be torn apart. But and you might say I was almost in pain, but there was no physical pain, but distress. And I realized if it would if it would tear me apart, it would already do that. So I I released, and suddenly I've seen nothing but light, nothing but huge golden light, and I was still being like uh, pushed through this light, and I'm and I was getting more and more relaxed in this space, and I from this golden light I've seen one red pixel, and I look at this pixel closer, and I didn't see it yet, but I said, it's me. It's me. And I realized this all golden light was like made all like photons. Each photon was a holographic projection, and in this holographic projection I could see entire life. And so I mean this huge shower of light, I experienced so much that I can't describe this. It was I only can remember the feeling actually, and some details. But then I get realize that I'm here for a purpose. You know, I'm not here to just experience this pleasure. I'm here for a purpose. So I ask, uh, show me who I was on this earth that actually matter for this earth. And I've seen lives, and I was like actually sorting through them, sorting through them, like, no, not this, no, this doesn't matter, you know, like, no, this is like only good for my ego, no? So I I I have seen my past life, for example, during French Revolution, like that I later Googled about this. I remember things, places, the king that was beheaded. That was actually our plan, you know. And so this is a life that I remember the most from this experience, that it had the most impact on Earth. I don't know how to judge if it was good for the planet or if it was bad for the planet, but
Well, it
I
was
know it was.
quite an event from what I know historically. I mean, it was the first time where people pushed that they can be governed, by the people for the people instead of having a crown. So it was quite a big statement worldwide. If based on what I studied, maybe someone else who understands this better could chime in. But yes, to just confirm, it was a big event.
Yeah, it was. And I actually remembered places that I later found, like the Avignon. I remember from this, I've seen in this experience, I was in the Avignon, and I later just pointed at the map, dropped a pin on Google Maps, and it was the Avignon, you know? Like, it was, I remember it so well. And I remember, you know, for example, my brother, I I've seen experiences there with my brother, you know, with the soul of my brother. And when I talk, I remember when we were children, that me and my brother, like, we were talking, like, we beheaded kings, you know. We beheaded kings. We you know, he knows, he's 1 year old, 1 year older than me, but he knows. It's not like he doesn't believe me. He knows, like, when I talk about this, he's he's like, yeah, dude, that's us, you know. And he didn't have this experience. So
So you mean he remembered independently just from birth?
yeah,
And for you, it
exactly.
took this experience to kind of draw that out of you.
No, I don't think so. It was just, I, you know, even now when it's like, it's this uh, Akashic records, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard this term?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's like, it's not because I I thought about this. So was this like a technological, like some sort of maybe hard drives? You know, these beings have this stored on hard drives, like, uh, so maybe they have this storage. But I now think that I, I now believe this is like all the space time is all one. You know, it's just, you can, it still exists, the past still exists, so you can go to this Akashic records, let's say, and you can just experience it. So it's not like I didn't know this, because when I was there I remembered, you know, just I didn't see it like so clearly like you see now, you know. It was now. I seen the past now, in the now, not like in memory, like foggy memory. I've seen now the space, the thoughts, the feelings, everything. But the most surprising thing when I was there is that when I've seen like many lives there. After even this, this that I'm describing, that I looked at this life and I went back from it, and I've seen the space around. It was all black, and I went around this life, and it was like 2D, like inside it was 3D, but when I went around this, it was flat, and it was black from the behind. So from the behind you couldn't see it. You had to stand in front of it, and it was flat. This projection, this was like the most surprising thing that I experienced there, actually. So yeah, if you have any questions, like, I am happy to answer, but I don't know what I can.
This one is well. First, just to clarify some things, because everybody loves to try to figure out where you're from. Do you mind at least just giving us the location and place you're calling from?
Yeah, I'm from Poland.
Poland, got it. Let me see. There was one question that was. Oh yeah, because you said this was the first time you were telling this in English. Because there's JJ Shinjitsu online. He was asking Lucas, what did the voice sound like? Did it sound like your did it sound like your own voice or another being?
I think it sounded like my voice more than the other being, but it wasn't. It wasn't clearly a voice. It was just like I was vocalizing the message in my head, just so I could understand it better. I think I like rehearsing the vocalization, so I could, I don't know how to describe it well, but I don't think it was a voice sent. It was like information sent to me, and I then interpreted this information in my own voice.
Okay, and so where you live, are there people and groups and places that you can talk about this, or is this pretty much your first time kind of coming out to talk and discuss your experiences?
No, I talked about this experience to a few of my friends, my cousin.
Right, but I mean, like where you live, is there an actual? Because, for example, just to give, here in the United States, there's groups. People meet every month, and you can go and you chit chat, you share stories, you basically kind of create a community. Is there such a thing in Poland as well, where you live?
No, but I actually am not interested in this. I don't know what good can it bring, except maybe sharing this story, and someone who had similar experience can help them.
Right,
And maybe other people who maybe, because I'm slightly annoyed that all this UFO is about these crafts, that they are metal. I don't think, maybe they are, maybe there aren't like this craft, but majority of this experience is 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 like craft from another dimension that are like light, that maybe can manifest as physical, but they are really not.
right. Yeah, no, I mean, if I don't know for how long you've been, maybe listening or following UFO Hub, and that's definitely what I try to talk about, and most of the guests I've had, that this is not just about physical ships and things. There's actual life-changing experiences being
Yeah,
had, and messages and things
this is
conveyed that are
actually
important to listen to.
this is actually one of the reasons I decided to share my experience, because I know, because you mentioned this just a while ago, and that your that was your goal. So I wanted to just help your goal.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Because if anything, it helps for confirmation. If people, because if a similar, it doesn't have to be, just the fact that there's contact for some people, that there's others having contact, maybe that's all they need. Others maybe want more confirmation that, well, is there others that also went on the ships? And then they get that confirmation. And then others say, well, did they talk to anybody? There's different levels of different people, what they're looking for, but just simply sharing does so much good to most people, even if we, not anytime soon are going to have any kind of revolutionary revelation about UFOs to where it will change the world altogether. Just simply talking about it helps. It's if anything, it's almost very just therapeutic knowing that, hey, somebody heard me, somebody can relate, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I think that people expect this revolution, that they expect the revolution to come from the sky, and I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe it for a second. There will be a great revolution that will come from the outside. It has to come from the inside.
From the within, right? That's what's
Yeah,
interesting. A lot of people, a lot of contactees and abductees, as time goes on and as experiences move on, they realize that everything has to do about them. Everything comes back is, who are you? It's like you keep looking at this outwardly thing, but everything, the more you look outwards, it keeps bringing you back inside, back inside, back inside.
yeah, it's true. The world we see outside is the projection of what we think, what we feel. It's never what we never see what really is. It's what we want. It's what we want to see. Actually,
Right.
it's how we think it is. So we project this outwards.
And so this remembrance, was this the only occurrence that you then remember after all these years, or did you then come to other conclusions about this?
I had like out of body experience where I for example, I felt someone was thinking about me, so I went into meditation, and I I I've seen the planet from the above, and I went down to the point where I was standing above this person, and he was sleeping, and he woke up and saw me after he woke up, and he told me about this.
Right.
So this is like another perspective, but also I about confirmation, I wouldn't ever talk about this if I didn't have confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I am talking about this, because I would think I wouldn't believe this myself. I don't know what would I think, but I now know there are other people who had these experiences. So, for example, I researched and I found remote viewing, and I also found this is fully real phenomenon.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You can remote view. You can. I found things I couldn't know through remote viewing, and I found later they were true.
Right. So, I mean, do you
Yeah.
find,
So if you,
after your
yeah,
experiences, has it reshaped your life and the way you moving forward?
I was very young when I had this experience, and for example, this being, this huge compassion, this huge understanding. Since I was a kid, I couldn't understand why people weren't like this. Like why they weren't so conscious, why they weren't so smart, why they weren't so compassionate. But yeah, it hugely impacted my life, and I I mean without this experience, I don't know who who would I be. I would be a
Right.
totally different person.
And so, what is, your brother? Does he share any other past life memories he has? What else do you guys now generally discuss between each other?
You know, hmm,
At least when it comes to these outer worldly type of experiences. I know I'm sure you guys probably chit chat about all kinds of stuff.
yeah, my brother, he always tries to bring me back down to earth, you know, because he says like I know this is true, you know, but um, he tries, you know, it's like I try to bring, it's like uh, we balance each other out, you know, we might
Mm-hmm.
say. He tries to tell me like, you know, try living more, you know, than thinking about this. But I don't think we talk about this too much because it's so inherent in us. Like when I told him about this experience, he already knew. He was like he already knew, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, we don't talk about this too much, you know. But it's we share the same understanding about this, all this stuff.
Right. Well, okay. Yeah, no, I was just wondering, if he kind of serves there to be your confirmation to certain things, like, hey, I remember these lifetimes together or that lifetime together. Or is it not so,
No,
I
no,
guess,
not specific, not
right.
specific. He doesn't have this specific because I had this experience, so I had these specifics like these lifetimes. I don't think he can remember them all, you know,
Mm,
because there was so many of them. Me and my brother, we had so long history together.
right. And so, Lucas, what do you do now moving forward? So, do you just basically just try to look more into what else is there for you to understand in this metaphysical world, or do you, or I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. Do you then continue having these certain contexts? Because I know you said you forgot about it, or it was wiped from your memory. Only later you remembered, many years later.
Yeah, I like when I woke up from this experience, I actually jumped out of my bed because I was so happy. And then I looked at my brother, and it came back to me that each soul has its own journey. And then I became very sad because I felt like I couldn't share this with anybody, you know. So so that's why I forgot about this. But I'm programming, you know. I'm software engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I was always in. I was since I was a kid. I was programming. I'm focused on on maybe trying to understand the mathematics and trying to apply it with uh, my with my software engineering skills to try to maybe evolve, try to move forward at least my understanding
Right.
because yeah.
Well, Lucas, it's quite an experience, and I'm very happy you were able to share it with us today. If any time you want to talk or share more or talk about whatever, you can always do that here. Um, so just wanted to ask, what about your parents directly? Are they aware of any of this, or is it just something you don't talk to them about?
Yeah, I talked about this experience, but I don't know if they actually believe it was real. You know, I
Hmm.
don't think they do
And I
because
mean,
for
is
me
right.
this defines life. You know, and my parents don't even share this. My mother and my father don't share the same view on life. For example, on God, on the I talked with my father, for example, about reincarnation, and he's like, I think we just take what's comfortable for us. It's
Hmm.
good to know that we live again, but maybe we don't.
Right.
But for me, it defines life. I can, I'm comfortable with death. I'm peaceful to die. It's not like I want to die, but if I die, I know it's not my body that dies. It's just my body that dies. It's not me.
Yeah, that's generally the theme. That's always been, I know for myself and others, that's at the end of the day, um, it really does change your life when that fear is kind of out of the way, because most people, they don't think about death until it's closer to time when they're late 70s, 80s, however they feel like how much longer they'll keep going. But some, think about it earlier in their lives, and so it becomes this constant thing that they're trying to figure out, and it becomes a fear mechanism. But it does change your outlook in general to where I'm not just talking about it now. You go crazy and do all kinds of stuff like, hey, let me do a crazy stunt that could, be fatal or anything like that. But it just doesn't have that same grasp of, you will die, you will end, you will cease to exist
Yeah,
one
I
day.
would I would actually say it's the opposite. You don't want to do crazy things because you know that this life is actually valuable.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not
But
like
no, right. Well, valuable in that you're here
because
for a reason that you want to fulfill and keep going, and only to find out towards the end what that reason was.
exactly because like my mother, I talked with my mother about this. Then she was like, "Yeah, what for is all this experience then if it doesn't prevail?" And it's exactly this understanding that it does prevail and it sticks with you. It becomes more meaningful and more important.
Right.
So you don't want to do stupid things and uh, die. You want to learn more. You want to bring uh, like a ripple effect. I
Right.
I know that many people are not familiar with this, but each smile, each good thing you can do, it is like a ripple effect that ripples through everyone that you if you smile to someone, then this person will smile to someone and this person will smile to someone. And it changes world, it changes human experience, so it changes the world. It's huge, every little
Right.
thing.
Right. Well, I think just knowing that it's also that aspect of purpose, and when you realize that there is, and not just realize it, like 100% when you come back and you just realize, wow, there is a purpose for me here, and all I gotta do is just keep on living it and fulfilling it. That's what makes it more exciting. But because if you're in that guessing stage in the very beginning, before your experience or near-death experience, whatever it may be, you're always kind of caught in that searching aspect. So then your purpose in life up until that point becomes the search of whether or not there is a purpose. But then when you do find out, then you come back and then you just realize, oh, the whole purpose is for me being me, living the way I best can and know how. And that would be, enough for the universe, for existence, for God, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and in this experience it was actually very clear because when I it's not like it was just projections but of my lives. I could see how my life how each thing, for example when someone hurt me, my ego, more like my ego hurt my ego, and I just accepted it. I didn't fight back. How only this thing could change what the entire perspective for the other person, and how it changed entire life of his.
Right.
and I could see the ripple effect. I could see it very clearly, like my like a mark, like I marked someone with smile, and this smile is inside him, and I could see this, and this smile, like this vibration, it impacted another person, and another person, and another person. I could see it very, very clearly in this experience. Each little thing. That's There is no other purpose than this ripple effect, this making small things for a better experience for everyone. Because it's not about like scientific progress or that or this or that, because it's like it's all already been figured out. If it wasn't figured out, it wouldn't exist. So it's not our purpose to figure it out. It's our
It's
purpose to just live.
right. Or it's kind of like, calling in on Telegram on UFO Hub to tell everyone else that, hey, you might not be alone in your experience out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Lucas, is there anything else you would like to share? We're not limited on time, as I was
Nothing.
saying, but if we can keep going a little longer, or if there's something else you want to cover.
Maybe if you have any questions or something you want to discuss, but nothing that comes to mind.
Right. Well, I mean, talking about, that you're not that interested in this, whether or not there's groups locally where you can talk and share about, but if there were, wouldn't you think that would be, good little progress that can be made to just, reach others that would be in the same boat?
Sure, I think, but like I said, I think that this, I think that let's say the research community, they are all focusing on the wrong things. They are they are focusing like on races.
Mm-hmm.
It's racist. It's called racism. It's reptilian. This, in my experience, it was a reptilian, I think, and it wasn't a bad being. And like trying to judge uh, uh, beings by their race. Also, I don't know, watching the sky. Like I remember, I was with my friend, and I tell him just a silly thing. Look in the sky, and in the sky suddenly, like it looked like a star, but it did like a spiral, and boom, disappeared.
Right.
Just like that. So for me, it's normal. And he was like, what was that? I know, and I'm like, you see, you believe. For me
Right.
it's like it's a reality.
Right.
Or for example, they talk about this, I don't know, ascension, 3D, 4D, 5D. I don't know. It's maybe in terms of mathematics, if you can really describe it, then you can start talking about this. But if you don't really understand, why even talk about this? you know
Right. Well, I think also
because
whenever I get the chance to talk to people, I think the human mind always wants different levels, different labels, to make sense of it. Up, down, left, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just the way the mind is used to, and I think that's what people generally go after when they talk about the 3D, 4D, 5D. Because once you've had the experience once, you realize it's all one. you know um
Yeah,
But
exactly. It's like trying to describe different frequencies of the sound.
right, right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, you can identify, but you can't, you know, you can't really say that that's an entirely different,
Maybe,
aspect.
maybe, maybe you can. Like when I read about Arcturians, for example, I see like they are, when I read this, like they are 90, blah blah blah. Like how do you know this? Like where is your
Yeah.
source?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I really I really don't identify with most of this stuff that goes on.
Right.
I follow you because I remember you had a talk when you that I don't remember it exactly, but I remember that you started something saying that by saying that your experience began when you were the same age as Jesus, right? Was there something like this?
I don't think so.
Do you remember?
No, I wouldn't have said anything like that.
Maybe not started, but I remember because you were saying something like the same. You were the same age as Jesus, like 40, 44 or something, and you
No,
described.
right. That was probably somebody else. That's not. I wouldn't have said that at all because I'm only 37 right now.
Really?
Yeah, so it must have been maybe somebody else. I have
I,
under the playlist talks. I have all the talks that I've personally done, but it's not how I would, because my personally
or maybe
started
you
when I
were you
when I was
were
11.
you were at maybe you were at this age when you were talking, but I distinctly remember
Right.
this.
I don't honestly, maybe I don't even know that I even mentioned Jesus in any of my talks. I maybe once, but
It was like a joke. Maybe it was like a joke that you were the same
right.
age as Jesus.
It's just doesn't
So
sound like me. It doesn't sound like me at all. I'm trying to confirm to you that you may be thinking about somebody else. It was not me. Hold on, give me one quick second. Let me just see here. JJ, I unmuted you real quick. Did you have a question for Lucas, or did you want to speak? Just want to clarify. Do you mind popping on real quick?
I was just gonna join. I mean, he, in my opinion, is a quote unquote abductee, and
Okay,
I
but it
jumped on.
wasn't a it wasn't a
Thank
direct
you for
question
it.
for Lucas.
No, just
Okay,
I was having ideas as he was talking about stuff, and just hoping I
perfect.
maybe
could
you can
Well,
chip
kind of
in.
join and pipe in here and there.
right. Well, I mean, Lucas, unless you have something else you would like to share, would it be all right if I bring in JJ and then put you on mute?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
I'm happy to
Well,
hear.
Lucas, if I don't get to you again, I just want to thank you for logging in and using this opportunity to at least share with all of us and just expanding the database of contexts and experiences that much more. So thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah, happy to hear. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay, JJ, you're already unmuted, and so
Awesome.
how are you? Good to talk to you again.
I've been well, thank you. Um, just waiting for school to start, which has been interesting, but you know, when Lucas was sharing his stuff, I don't know if he would want to, start to form a group, but I was just thinking, we're all connected through UFO Hub, and we've all, well, me and him, I don't know who else, pop on here and there, but anyone else that, would be interested in trying to form our own little group of what I consider us to be more like-minded people, having had, different experiences. Mine were definitely different from really everyone's that I've ever listened to. There's um, a lot of, in my opinion, uh, a lot of opinion that
Mm-hmm.
alters people's perspectives about it. And actually, just something that you said earlier to play devil's advocate a little bit, but kind of the reason that I feel that I ended up popping on and hearing what I have to share my insight. I'm a spiritual person, so I don't think anything happens by accident.
Mm-hmm.
But is to throw out the perspective that, like earlier you were talking about how, people that have seen UFOs, that, it's not by accident. And while like I'm totally with you, and I'm like, yes, I agree. I also need to note that they're not perfect, and ETs were, in my opinion, as well, a lot of them are more terrestrial than we are, and
Mm-hmm.
um, side note, but they're not perfect. And to put them in another perspective, they are smarter versions of humans, and they have some more abilities. And coming from that perspective, they're not God. They're not all knowing. They do have ability to hear our thoughts, so on and so forth. But they make mistakes, and to just really for people to take that into consideration, whether they're abductees or people looking into this stuff. I mean, just to be blunt, if they were perfect, we would not have any. Roswell wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have crash landed.
Right.
So yeah,
Well, I
just
think
from that
at the same
understanding.
time we keep adding a lot of our human mindset of what on how certain things should be. In the same sense, it's not quite the same, but like when we talk about psychics, we have an idea of what a psychic should be like, right? And that means that you foresee everything at all time, every moment, what's going on. And so I remember I was watching this one thing where this one guy was supposed to get interviewed, and he was a psychic. And so they sat down, and the guy that was about to start interviewing, he just slapped him hard across the face, and he's like, aha, see, you didn't see that coming, so you full of shit. And they kind of walked out and kind of made fun of him, and I'm like, well, for one, you are totally misunderstanding what psychics do, and two, they just applied however that understanding of what a psychic should be, they just applied it to that particular person. There's been some that are very well aware and are in the know at that moment, but the more I understand it, the more I see it, the more I talk to close friends of mine that do readings, and I ask them for readings all the time. They're spot on, but it's not something to where even they would like be surprised at certain things. So anyway, without diverging too far off, I understand what you mean, that there, we have this idea that they'll never, like a crash on like an alien advanced, society that has all these magical ships that it can actually crash and break down, or whatever the reason, that caused it. But that's not, it's a very terrestrial mindset too. I just wanted to add to that, that I think the original, was it the original story that it was in the very beginning when they first started messing around with radar, that it was that amount, that those radar waves that threw something off and caused the crash? I don't know if you heard about that same theory.
I've heard, I believe, is by Dr. Greer and his group talking about the numerous frequencies that satellites and whatever other projects we don't know about that have been
Right.
going on are shooting frequencies into the atmosphere, and also noting the nature of their technology. Apparently, according to Dr. Greer and their group, I mean, before I even start talking about this, I just want to remind everyone that there's many different races out there, and the way that one technology is, interacts with our reality isn't the way that others necessarily will. Um, but for the ones that have crash landed, they explain that the engine ultimately, it's sensitive to our magnetic field. And being that our magnetic field is not the same throughout Earth, it fluctuates. That combined with the frequencies in the atmospheres, what they explained for the cause of the crashing of the saucers that we have become aware of. And they, of course, noted actually that there are numerous other crash landings before the most famous Roswell, New Mexico landing, which is why they were able to kind of backtrack on the story and cover it up the nature that they did, despite the national coverage that it ended up getting, initially. But yeah, that's years back that I'm trying to remember this stuff.
Right. Forgive me. Can you give me one quick second? Do you mind if I read this real quick? I went online and I found this. It's something that I found a while back, and this was supposed to be a memo from director of the FBI from Guy Hotel, and it's from the Washington office. And the subject is flying saucer information concerning. And let me see, the text is very like old types, but anyway, this was sent out on March 22nd, 1950. This was the report. It says the following information was furnished to, and then it got blanked out, and then it says an investigator for the Air Force stated that 3 so-called flying saucers had been recovered in New Mexico. They were described as being circular in shape with race centers. I can't read this. Approximately 50 feet in diameter. Each one was occupied by 3 bodies of human shaped, but only 3 feet tall, dressed in metallic cloth of a very fine texture. Each body was bandaged in a manner similar to blackout suits used by speed flyers and something pilots. It's just like old
Test pilots.
Yeah, it could be test pilots. Yep. And it says, according to Mr. Blanked Out information, the saucers were found in New Mexico due to the fact that the government has a very high-powered radar setup in that area, but it is believed the radar interference with the controlling mechanism of the sauce. Yeah, it is believed the radar. Yeah, the radar interferes with the controlling mechanism of the saucers. No further evaluation was attempted by SA blanked out concerning the above, and then he signs off. It's like a famous memo that I just I've had in my files for a long time, and this is again. I found it's easy to find out online, but 20 years ago it wasn't as readily available. So I always saved all these different files when I was still very much into the nuts and bolts and let's save paperwork and who knew what shit, you know. But anyway, so I wonder if this was the source of the information and that got spread out throughout the years, that it was the radar interference that's causing some of those crashes. Because it's interesting enough, many years later, Bashar has also then made a comment that when somebody asked him about this, is that they've already fixed it. They worked on this and they figured out what was causing that, and it was immediately solved, so that way the radars are not going to affect at least these particular beings with those particular ships.
Right. And
so anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on this tangent. You got my memory going, so I wanted to just kind of put that out there for those also watching, just to give a little historical, aspect to this. But forgive me, please continue with what you were talking about.
Oh yeah, I was just noting.
You were saying that they're not perfect.
Weaponized that frequency.
Oh, I see. To like, oh, this can be used for something, taking down flying saucers. I wouldn't be surprised. It's not beyond the government to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Greer and their group also have shared a few videos of you can see something basically going to the upper atmosphere and into space as a UFO is coming across, coming across the way. And there's other. I actually made a video myself. Someone on a Facebook group shared a video, and I actually recognized it to be ultimately them shooting at a UFO, and it was like split second, literally second, not even a second, like couple seconds. It was like less than 2 seconds long footage that after the projectile goes into the air, numerous UFOs pop up for milliseconds and disappear.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, anyone else that is looking for groups and stuff, and I recommend jumping on Facebook. There's still like every social media. I got my comment apparently got me silent, so no one can see my comments right now. So it's heavily monitored. But
Yeah, especially on
yeah,
Facebook.
do you know of any like rising places online that people are navigating to try to get away from the censorship? Or
Honestly, it's kind of all over the place. I know I'm personally looking to develop Telegram more, and I haven't started uploading up yet, but I created an account on Rumble. There's others that go into Odyssey, some go into BitChute, and so there's just really all kinds of stuff out there that it's really hard to figure out, because it would suck if you have this once concentrated group go in all these different directions, and then you might lose some people unless everybody keeps track now of all these different ones. I mean, it's really unfortunate that YouTube cannot be this platform that has so much great promise. They finally developed it to what it is today, and then they have to go and fuck it up by doing all this bullshit.
yeah, we need something that's not corporate controlled, that's just
Yeah.
free and always will be.
Yeah, no,
Nothing
definitely.
behind it.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not a programmer, so
right. Well, I mean, the thing is, there's stuff out there. I know Rumble, because I looked into this, because I was like, I don't want to then switch to another place, start building up, and them saying, sorry, you can't say this. I'm like, well, why in the fuck am I here then? Just uprooted from one place, moved to another, and then here you are, censoring me again. And so, but so far, it seems their policies and the way they've been, they haven't been, you know, I like they're nowhere close yet to be like YouTube. Their stuff is better than some of the other things that I've seen. For example, BitChute, it's they're I mean, I can't blame them. They're independent, so their infrastructure is based on all the donations and all that. So it's difficult to I guess get the functionality, the speed, the finesse of these programs in the way YouTube has it, because they've had decades to build it up. They've had billions upon billions to build it up, and they all tricked us by this, acting like this welcoming platform, and all of that. And then little did we know we were just flying, right into the sun, and all the little moths that we are.
yeah, the censorship is to a point that makes you feel like you're in a movie now. And it's like you can watch older movies and the new movies that they're coming out with, and it's just like you look at our reality and they're not much different. And
Well, like I always said,
yeah,
it's finally here. 1984 is it's finally here. We just never assumed that it was going to go down this direction, in this way. Because like I said, I always imagined that censorship would be like a military boot stomping on your face, saying no, you cannot do this, so you know who your enemy is, you know who you're fighting. But everything is built up to where you have all these big corporations, they got everybody to join them, and then they start, silencing. And now everybody's so used to Facebook and so afraid to get off Facebook. I constantly tell people, get off Facebook. Contact me directly, join Telegram, go somewhere else, and they're like, oh, but all my family are there and they have all the pictures and I get to see the grandkids' pictures and all this other stuff. I'm like, your grandkids are, going to be in jail, they're going to be, growing up on this controlled platform to where, you can't do anything, you can't say anything other than to, oh, nice to see you and I love you, if you're allowed to say that at the end, because it might show too much emotion. And so they don't see what's been happening, that all this control mechanism has been put in place in this what we know now to be nefarious, but it was very benevolent, right? It was like, oh, just join the social network. Oh, just, upload your videos about your cat running around being silly, trying to hunt down that laser pointer, And so then once everybody got reeled in, you just realize everybody's literally on, the majority of people, it's either YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, and to get them off of those, it's might as well, telling a crack addict, hey, stop smoking crack. It's they don't know any better. They think that is the one and only way. And so, oh yeah, and also Twitch. I've been streaming on Twitch. It's streaming on Twitch right now, and so I don't know if people, Rumble requires a paid service to stream, but Twitch doesn't. And there's been quite a lot of people that I know that were kicked off of YouTube that went to Twitch, and they talk about all kinds of stuff. I mean, just a lot of the stuff that you want to find out what's really been hiding about the pandemic and everything else. You can find that out, when you have to go to an alternative source that is like, not that popular, to find out this information. That's when there's a script going on. There's an actual attempt to censor, because it's almost unbelievable, like we're not living in America anymore. But anyway, Twitch also, I forgot about that part. I've been trying to build up.
Never would have thought Twitch.
Well, I don't know. It's something about that gamer culture. They don't buy into the bullshit easily. They don't, when it comes to anything, any latest thing that goes on, they're the, at least for now, they're the least affected, because they still just have that, live and let live mentality, as far as I can tell now. I could be mistaken for some of those that have used Twitch a lot longer, but, I've definitely, if some of you watching out there, I'm on Twitch right now, and let me tell you, though, Twitch too has like much better quality. I always have my wife watch this live from Twitch, because I was told, I said, I don't want to stream to nobody. I've had I was watching some tutorials and they were saying, make sure you at least stream to one viewer on this new platform. And so slowly but surely, it's been building up, so if you have an account with Twitch, find UFO Hub and you'll see the live streams there just as well. And you can also comment, and I see your comments here because I have a restream that I'm using. So I have YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch that's coming into one to me. So even if you're on Twitch, I see your comments. Now the only thing you can't see is that interactions that everyone else has on YouTube. Like I see everybody chatting here, but you'll only be kind of in that own bubble. So all the YouTube people are in their bubble, all the Facebook people are in their bubble, all the Twitch people are also in theirs. So I don't know how to get those combined, but if everyone has to kind of do a mass exodus to Twitch because YouTube is being a bunch of commie motherfuckers, then we can at least, have a new platform in that way until we get kicked off of there.
Yeah, your last comment actually made me laugh. There's a video that it's from 1969 where this guy, let me look it up and I'll talk about it again once I find it, but just reminded me of it, and he's talking about communism and how socialism is basically being used as the trick to get everyone to go for their ideals and stuff, which, for everyone, I think the reason that he was just talking about is socialism, of, the idea everyone gets everything equally, which, a lot of people are for, but people are against it for many reasons as well, for very good causes, where
Well, I
socialism
think,
is used in other
yeah,
countries and doesn't work. But
I think because of the lack of education generally in the way it's covered, it's making perfect sense now. We basically, a lot of colleges and even high schools are pretty much infiltrated by communist ideologues, and they what's very interesting is especially this new Bernie generation. They're like, we're the new kind of socialist. It's like, do you not understand that when you start consolidating one aspect and they're only thinking from this, let's say, okay, we have a problem with the financial system, so they just want to push the financial system into this, let's control that better so that everyone can have a better life. They don't realize that mindset breeds more of those mindsets. So then your next thing is going to be your body, which have already been happening. Then the next thing is going to be your thoughts, because it was, if you look at East Germany, because I lived there for quite a long time, and they still have that, the secret police, the Stasi, and what they were doing and all this other stuff. It's like, you cannot go against the state. The only way, because of these different ideologies, everyone absolutely has to have one pure ideology about the state and nothing else. If you go against it, if you frown upon it, you are severely punished, if not killed, and that's just one of many examples. And people always like, well, we're going to try a different communism. That's what every other goddamn country has said before they started going downhill. It's like Yugoslavia, Russia, Venezuela, Cuba is still a shithole, it's like, and all this stuff that's been going on there. It's like people do nothing more but suffer. They keep constantly thinking that, this perfect splitting of wealth and ideas and everything, that everyone just gets treated equally. It just doesn't function. It's not human nature, and it's always going against human nature. It's kind of like the same idea of, communes. Nothing against communes, but it's a perfect example. Here you had a chance to create something on a very small scale to where you live according to these ideologies that you espout, and very, very, very few communes actually are still around. Majority, like 99% of them, don't even exist anymore. They lasted for a little bit, sometimes months, sometimes few years, but at the end they fail, because the very basic things, which is constant change and different points of views, if they're not allowed, people cannot function in that this androgynous way of living, to where, like, you go to the same job, do the same thing over and over again until you die, right? And at least with this capitalism that we call, you can switch that up. It's like, fine, I don't like this job, I can leave here. I don't like the pay, go somewhere else, negotiate new pay. But most people are too afraid, because of this, again, this infiltration of communist point of view. Is like they started looking at teachers and police and all these new bosses as these authorities, which is a communist way. So we're always afraid of authority. Now we're afraid to speak up. You always, approach your boss. It's like, hi boss, can I pretty please have this and that, And so that's what they fail to see, is that it's a communist point of view, Anyway, it's getting me really riled up about all this stuff, because it's my past. I was born in Yugoslavia. The country doesn't exist anymore because it broke up. Why? Because fucking communism doesn't work. I don't know how many more times, this has to be pushed and retried. But hey, if you think you want to try it again, I'm really hoping to having a hard time to make it pass, and I'm definitely going to be, a rock in their shoe when it comes to that kind of shit. But, it's one of these things to where, when will the world ever learn?
yeah, communism only works for the people that are at the top of it. But
Always.
yeah,
Because if you have a communism, everybody's supposed to be equal. Why is there an elite? That's what nobody asks
yeah,
themselves. Why do you have an elite with special few privileges? You know, if you're part of the state, if you're part of the, you know, higher ups and all of that. But anyway.
Yeah, from third-party perspectives, communism works, but from the inside, the people all know that it doesn't work at all.
Right. Well, let's flip the story a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the direction you wanted to go.
No, you just reminded me of it, but just to finish up, I posted the link of the video that I was thinking of. And the guy's name is G. Edward Griffin, and the video's again from 1969. But the link is there for people that want to check it out. But it's interesting, and the video is actually much longer than that. That's just a snippet that someone made from it, which, you know, it's very applicable to what we've been witnessing on what's going on today. But
right, where did you send the link?
Definitely. My name, I have a picture of the Joker as my avatar. It's been that for years, but
you
I changed my
sent it.
name. It was Hop JJ before, and yeah, now it's JJ Shinjitsu. I put the 3 asterisks. It's
Did you send it on YouTube?
on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, just
I can
now.
put it in. Yeah, I'll put it in Telegram.
No. YouTube is fine. Telegram, I can't get those, and most people won't. So more public place like YouTube would work.
Okay.
You know, was it where he was interviewing the defector? Is that what you're referring to? I'm sorry if I missed it. What you were talking about?
Well, here, I'll post it again just so you can see it, but I didn't post it too long ago. But that's the link right there. But yeah, it's a 8-minute, 4-second video.
Let me see here.
Subtitled and everything for that one.
Right. Yeah, I just don't know why it's not. I'm not getting it on my list here. Okay. I'm gonna do a quick switch.
Anyone else getting it? Yeah, it's right above William Tell said, like Pedo Joe. It's right above that comment. Oh, another one actually just popped in above his. That's weird. William Tell, our government and military are full of pedos and Satanists.
Right. You know, and then I don't...
Comments are like popping up out of order on my
Oh, they are?
screen.
Yeah, and then right underneath that one, then I have Fab22. Why is it not coming through? I don't have a restriction on you being able to post links.
Well, I mean, just to, you know, maybe someone's interfering in it. I don't know.
Here, give me a name. I'm on YouTube right now. If you just give me, I can post that then on here, on YouTube. What was the name of the video?
G. Period. Edward Griffin. Griffin spelled Griffin.
Right.
1969, and there's a dash. And it says subtitled. Because there's, you know, going to be more than just this one.
Right. A dash what?
Subtitled. And it's 8 minutes. 8 minutes says 8 minutes 5 seconds.
Okay, I see. Is it just
very
young Edward Griffin?
Yeah, it's a black and white video, and the one I posted, the link I put up was by Prowler Bear, is the person that uploaded it.
Right. Let me see here. All right, I'm gonna copy that.
Is it popping up for other people, or?
I don't know. I'm still not seeing it. So are you seeing the browser? Are you seeing what I'm doing? Is this the one?
I have YouTube up, so I can see it, but it's a few seconds behind.
Okay.
Yeah, I just saw it pop up. Yeah, that's it.
Is that it?
That's
okay.
It.
All right. I'm gonna go to this, paste G. In 1969, subtitled. I forgot. It's creating this window within a window universe
It
thing.
goes on forever.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Now I posted it to the group so everyone else can see what you're referring to. Well, anyway, so what I want, I was wanting to just switch it out real quick, before, because I don't know, I guess not everyone is as passionate to be anti-communist as I am, but um, the just to pull it back into UFO aspect, there was a video a long time ago, and I have to look through my files again. Um, uh, I found a video that was supposed to have been released in Soviet Union, and it was supposed to be it was a crash of a aircraft, and so their military was all around it and like cordoning off the area. It was kind of in the woods anyway, and they were trying to get it dug out and transported somewhere. I have to see if I can find it. Maybe put it up on Telegram, and maybe that's what I should do to get people to sign up for Telegram more. Even though I don't have any kind of paywalls or anything, just to get people more enticed to say, join Telegram, you get more of the juicy stuff I can't post on YouTube. Plus here on YouTube, I mean, I understand I'm perfectly for copyrights, and all this infringements. If you have your original work, it should be protected. But sometimes they go overboard. If you just use like a small snippet of it, they go AWOL about how dare you, and they, mark your account and give you a strike and all kinds of bullshit.
Whether or not it's actually correct.
Well, I mean, the point
Right.
is, it's like if I used a large amount of the video and really was an infringement, I understand. But if I'm commenting on something and if I'm using an example so that people can see what I'm talking about, it's not a some kind of a reproduction and violation of copyrights. Because I'm creating new works. I'm adding a new spin. All of that.
They like to use whatever excuse they can, and they just
Yeah.
basically play dumb, and they're like, "Oh,
Right.
well, we already made our decision. Sorry."
Right.
They
Well,
don't
yeah.
even tell you that, but that's what you know.
Right. Yeah, no, they don't even, unless you're really high up there, they don't even take the time to explain anything to you. But anyway, I want to see if I can find it. I want to throughout all the stuff that I have and then post that video. It was pretty interesting to see. I don't know if it was faked. It seems pretty legit. And so at least I can put it in Telegram in a group and have everyone just look at it for the sake of looking at it. Whether or not we can confirm it, that's a different story.
Yeah, trying to confirm these things, it's next to impossible unless you have insider information or at least pay attention to the people releasing it. At least in my opinion. Yeah. What what's your take on the reverse engineered crafts that are being perpetuated as real, and how often we actually see the real ones? Because from what I've ultimately deduced is they're basically trying to put out the fake ones that have been reverse engineered as much as possible, because real sightings, unless you're like doing a CE5, the real sightings tend to be extremely short and they don't go on for very long for most people.
Right.
So it seems to me like all of the ones that people are actually able to capture on video are probably going to end up being fake or reverse engineered. But, it's like you can't really say. I don't want to be like, yeah, they're all fake and reverse engineered, despite the fact that I know that some of them could be. But it's a interesting thing. It just I, I feel like it's just a distraction for us to pay attention to what's going on in the sky versus the spiritual aspect of it. That's just my
Right.
opinion. We could argue about physical things that we see all day and night, but it doesn't really change anything. It's like we know they're there, but we need to go
Well,
deeper than that.
I think whatever they reverse engineer is going to be still very, very simple and rudimentary of what the actual craft can do and what the technology actually can do. Um, because the one major thing that I don't know for 100%, but it's my sneaky suspicion, and I've talked about this once before, that they are not taking consciousness into consideration, and they're only looking at these nuts and bolts that can be seen. And so therefore they think if they try to replicate it in one way or another, that they'll be closer to getting that technology, not realizing that a lot of those things that are reliant on conscious directions, and not only that, that a lot of those ships themselves are conscious, have a form of consciousness to them that then interact with the pilot in doing whatever they travel, however they travel,
Right.
and so us humans, we don't get it. So we see is like, oh, this brand new isotope it's never seen before, it can't replicate on the planet, but we'll try, or this whatever, however it looks. And so they're missing a major point.
Right. Which is why actually the picture that you showed earlier, the fact of conscious imbued with technology, um, you know, consciousness, which goes on to also side
Well, I
note,
should say
it's
what we perceive as
biological.
technology. We always think that everyone always molds, that the other beings have to be molding things from other materials, other elements, like we do with steel and different metals and all this other stuff. But I'm based on some information that was given through Bashar, is that they use crystals, and a lot of their ships are grown. It's these crystalline forms that are grown to a certain frequency that then specifically work with the pilot. So they're kind of almost grown for each other.
That makes a lot of sense.
And
It
so
just
then,
appears metallic to us.
right, so then they get in tune. And so what the ships, based on Bashar, then what the ships specifically do is that they have a level of consciousness that we can only perceive as AI, but it's not AI. It's actually very limited consciousness, almost like childlike, to I mean, not childlike that they are childlike, meaning what we can perceive. Let's say, between an older person and younger, the younger person just has like specific directions. Like my 4-year-old now, who he's going to be 4, I would always be like, Orion, go get this. He's like, this? I'm like, yes. He's like, okay. He goes and gets it and comes back, right? And it's very simple. It's like, give me a hug. It's like, hug? It's like, yes, give me a hug. And so, he hugs me. So in this very innocent way, it's very simple, very rudimentary, and so that a lot of ways their ships are in this state to where they have enough awareness to do a task, and which a lot of times is to just keep these charts stored in their memory, to where the pilot doesn't necessarily have to understand the full route of how to get somewhere. The ship is already imbued with all of that. All that it needs is the direction and the order of by the pilot to, let's say, go to a certain place or appear or disappear from a certain spot, which was another thing that was all really mind-blowing too, when he was talking about how we always think about travel like we're traveling over the ground, through space, over some kind of fabric, whether it's a fabric of space itself, or whatever. And that's always our mindset, right? So we always can only think of time travel of, okay, well, if there's this plane, we can make this quicker by trying to fold space to make it quicker to arrive to wherever we want to go. But that's not always the case. They're talking about that. This is the part where it's been a while, I forgot, and I have to look it up again so I can remind myself, is that, what did he say? He said, we often think that an object is dependent on the space, but it's actually the other way around, that the space is dependent on the object. So he was saying in very simple terms, if you, even as a human being, and that's what they do as crafts themselves, is that each spot in the universe and all of existence has one unique vibration, and that's the one and only vibration you'll ever find, in that particular point. And those points can be easily charted. And so one of the aspects of existence in this universe itself is that when you focus on that one particular frequency, and and focus on it entirely, that the ship then basically ceases to exist at whatever point it is, and it starts taking up that space in which it projected itself to. And so he was equating it to memories. So, for example, if we were doing this as humans, we would basically remember, let's say, something very memorable, right? Just to give you a very dumbed down example, but let's say your kitchen growing up, and how wherever your mom always cooked, and how it smelled great, and it has a lot of strong emotional memories. And when you close your eyes and you can almost taste the food that was being cooked there, you can smell it, and all of that is that kind of focus. And when you focus, that you can actually transport yourself to that space in that particular space and time, and so that's how it was explained. And then later on, when I had my own experiences, it made even more sense. That was, I understood. It was confirmation to me. Okay, I understand now. He wasn't lying, but it's very interesting to start thinking about those type of things, those type of ideas in that way. And this is why I'm very skeptical when it comes to how much the government has actually reverse engineered, because I don't think they're anywhere close to understanding those things, because they're still very much like scientists, and they want to see where's the nut, where's the bolt.
Yeah, actually, the stuff that you're explaining about Bashar, actually use a portion of that in one of the videos that I made. It actually, I kind of tried to break down the science, from the videos that I have access to for other people, but it started off in the way that I broke it down. Dr. Greer is talking about the laboratories that he's been in where they've emitted magnetic fields around certain objects, and uh, they will, eventually dip out of um, this reality where you can't see it anymore. It's physically gone. It's gone to another dimension, and from there it moved on to talking about bees and how they levitate by flapping their wings, creating a frequency that reverberates um, to create their own magnetic bubble, which is what allows them to fly. Which scientists have been were confused, or many probably still are, as to why bees can fly at all, because aerodynamically their wings are too small for their body weight. And then I moved it on to Bashar's explanation, where he, to revisit what you were explaining, any point in space and time, they considered that not to just be, the location is an actual aspect of the object. And like you were explaining, it's, when you're saying in point A versus point B, uh, from that explanation, your frequency, I would say,
Yeah.
is different from when you're saying in a different location, and fine tuning that is ultimately, I guess, what the ship would already be able to connect to, and it just brings you there.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely, I agree with you. It's, for, I guess, us, people like us, it's interesting, in my opinion, more interesting, connecting the scientific understanding to the spiritual aspects of, oh, this happened. Well, how would we really understand it? And I think that's when things get most interesting. Is when we start going on that rabbit hole of, oh yeah, I finally really get it. To be able to, I don't think it's really even for us, but I get excited because I can explain to other people,
Right.
because I already believe in this stuff. It's just more so how do I make it make sense for them? And
Now you have
yeah,
to reverse engineer what you call it, normal speak.
exactly right. Yeah, one of the things that I've always found interesting, since I've started talking about this stuff more, is like when around the right people, you talk about something, and it's like, oh, they spark, they're attentive and they're asking questions and everything that you would expect from your
Curious
perception of
person,
how
yeah.
most people should respond to this stuff. It's like the government talks about UFOs being real. It's like, okay, people just go back to what they're doing, easily distracted to ignoring all this information, and their opinions really probably haven't even changed too much, to be honest. They
Right.
probably are still skeptical as to whether or not it's extraterrestrial. And it's like, okay, look at it for a few, just do research for an hour. You find out about Roswell. All right, cool. During that hour, you're probably going to find out that people have seen UFOs for literally thousands of years in the skies, and it's just like no one cares, no one knows.
Yeah, it's so
But
weird that the curiosity is not there. It's like, what kind of human are you?
yeah, I mean, it's weird when I think about it from my personal experiences and what I find interesting. But every time I consider spiritual thought, I'm just like, well, they're not ready for it yet, so that's immediately why. And it's like,
Right.
oh, but like, why? That's that philosophical question that we're still trying to work our ways
Yeah.
around in meetings like this one.
Well,
We're really doing it right.
I used those people, and I've had close friends that were still like that, that every time I would talk about something, because in a way they ask and then they realize maybe they ask too much, maybe they don't want to know, and just gets me going to talking about it. They'll just do this weird face they make about like, oh God, here we go again. Like we don't really care. And I see them, I look
Yeah.
at it and I just keep at it and I keep going until I'm done and finishing my point. And I was like, there you go. I'm finished saying what I need to say. You know what I mean? Because most people would always be like, oh God, these people are uncomfortable, so I better stop. I'm like, nope, you got me going now. It's like you're going to get the full force of uncomfortableness now.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes I'll, stop because you don't want to lose people too much. But planting those seeds, it definitely, after having done it for years, I'm pretty sure you're well aware too that it does have an effect. I mean, no
Oh, I know
matter
because I
how
was
much they try to ignore
contacted.
us.
Yeah, I was contacted like years later by one of those people, and um, um, her girlfriend, she, I guess love changes things. She very much in love with her. So, but she's all into UFOs and stuff. So it forced her to, in a way, like if I say I love this person, I better get on board with what they're into. And so, they're like, contacting me, asking me about, yeah, have you heard about Stephen Greer? I was like, yeah. Have you heard about this person? I was like, did you just now land on the planet? Is this what's going on? Like this whole
Yeah,
world has been opened up to you, so you're getting all excited about shit I knew about 20 years ago.
yeah,
But yeah, it's funny, it's I never thought that would happen, all because of love, all because of love.
yeah.
It's like
People come to
otherwise,
it in
yeah.
their own ways, I guess, right?
Let me check real quick. Also, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to
No worries.
do do you the way we did for Lucas, because Crypto had his hand up a while back, and Crypto, I unmuted you. I wanted to ask, did you have a question for JJ, or were you also wanting to chime in? Because I think you raised your hand at the moment where Crypto was
Yeah,
asking if there's another platform.
yes, that's exactly where I'm at. Let me walk outside. I'm in the gym for a second, but I wanted to mention a
You're in the
platform
gym.
in
Don't be
case
enlightening all those
yeah.
meatheads.
No, this one is the non-meathead one.
Oh, okay. I'm just
Uh,
kidding.
but hey, they need help too. Meatheads need love too. And But hey, y'all are talking about platforms, and should the shit hit the fan, there is a paid one, but not what you think. It's a totally decentralized network. It's a coin called, or token, we call it Theta, which requires Theta fuel. Now, Theta, if it's a governance token, might avoid the crypto extinction event that is on the way. They're talking about banning the stable coins and I think just utility tokens. Like if you use the token for something, then you're kind of off the hook for the securities laws that they're trying to propose. But that's just one of the things that they're trying to.
Do you really think
fuck
it's
us
going to
over
go
with.
that far?
I think they're going to do whatever it takes. There's a company called Grayscale that has only been buying brand new Bitcoins that have not been dirtied yet with many transactions.
Right.
That's what they're selling, yo. They're selling virgin Bitcoins, if so to speak. And that's what their Grayscale is buying. Because if they go through a tumbler from a privacy coin service or a mixer wallet, then you don't know where it came from, and now it's their excuse to confiscate it or stop your accounts and come after you. And they're definitely planning on busting people who use privacy coins straight up. So that's what's written in one part of this infrastructure bill package that they're voting to postpone on the first day of Mercury in retrograde, September 27th. Anyway, but there's one of them, the most popular YouTube alternative that is a decentralized global network that could stay up should the shit hit the fan anywhere, whether it's the super volcano in Yellowstone or nuclear war or anything else. And that is a Theta network. It's the biggest, best decentralized alternative, I believe. I think another company on a different blockchain, EOS, is attempting it, but they're quite centralized. So I will look into it because not just my curiosity is spiked from peaked from what y'all have said, and I kind of just want to know because everyone loves Theta, and Theta's kind of a nice pickup right now if you got the money, but but Theta fuel is what you have to use the network. Now it's kind of like quarters for a jukebox for your post, so it is paid, but I'll look into like the rules for it and see who's kind of already on there using it. But it's like the most cutting edge, like after Rumble, or is that what you said, Rumble? I've heard of that.
Rumble,
but
yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is like I just owe it to like myself and everyone else to like check it out. So I'll get on that one. But it requires there's Theta, and then not to be confused with Theta fuel, which you need to kind of pay your way to get things done on the network. And as far as file storage, of course, there's Filecoin, which is a whole bunch of people all over the globe with basically what do you call them? Storage drives, hard drives. And they're making lots of money just loaning their hard drives for this network to put parts of files, no matter what it is, on this network, and you have no idea where they are. They're just it just knows how to do what it does. It's basically the newest version that is totally decentralized of Napster. And
so I would assume that would also be encrypted.
Absolutely, it is encrypted. That's the whole point, especially of the tokens that you use to operate it. So absolutely, you can hold it, own it, and there's definitely nobody to even serve papers to on these networks because they are just computers. There's no corporate office, there's no skyscraper, no gleaming glass tower to shut these things down should something happen and we really need someone to talk to, a way to communicate where the people who are operating it were getting their electricity from, they know how to keep the systems up. That's what's paying them. They're holding tokens. Everyone's holding the tokens. And only the token holders are going to own this future, bro. I'm telling you. It's really weird, but like, it's just like, we didn't know during the .com bubble which one was going to win or which handful was going to win, but there were plenty of winners. You just had to basically have a little piece of every slice of every pie, and all it took was just one or two, and you're fucking set. So I would say probably bet on a solution that seems regulation proof At the moment, that's always on my mind. That's why I'm mojito, crypto mojito. But
Right. Well,
um,
JJ,
but like,
there's one another one I guess that can be added to the list talking about alternative
yeah,
platforms.
absolutely. If he knows something about it or can look into it, it makes it faster than me, or if the universe delivers, the report right on his desk first thing in the morning, that'd be awesome. Or mine.
Right.
But I love it. This is what we do, is just kind of find out these things that are fresh and new and like basically immutable. You cannot delete and change what's on the blockchain. So once you post it, it lives forever. How about that?
I
I
don't
mean,
know, man.
you
What
can't
about you want
you
to get
can't
rid of some
censor
of
it.
those dick pics?
well, well, maybe if you were, sexy when you were younger, those, but
Oh man.
yeah, you definitely want to be careful what you post also,
Right.
but but things live forever anyway if you're on Facebook or any app
Yeah.
or and the internet the way
Oh,
it
it's
is right
whole
now, so
BS
there's
about
no escaping
Facebook.
that.
Yeah, Facebook acting like, oh yeah, we delete your stuff after you close your account. Bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely it
Same
is,
thing with
and they know who I
Snapchat.
am,
When
and
they
I
found out those messages don't really go away, they're still stored encrypted locally on your on your phone that you can still access if you know
oh
how.
god, yeah, there's copies on every continent. they
Yeah.
figured they figured it out how to move it around. Edward Snowden kind of gave a lesson on a show once about
Right.
dick pics. Believe it or not, it was done by John Oliver. They were talking about dick pics, and sure enough, Edward Snowden explained how they snatch them, grab them, and keep them. They're called different programs. And he goes, Odyssey is the way they grab your dick pic and then they store it over here, and that's called this. And it was really neat. John Oliver, Edward Snowden, look it up. It's
Right.
funny. You may not like John Oliver, but check it out. It's really funny and full of facts.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, crypto. I
I'll check
don't
it out.
want thank you for just giving that snippet of info. We can.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
I
going back in
wanna.
the gym. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Good deal. All right. Yeah. Hey.
See ya.
Pump one extra for us, would you?
Good night. Yep.
All right, there you go, JJ. So yeah, there's also that crypto option. Forgot about that too, because I think Steam is also kind of based on cryptocurrency, and so I think that based on how much you post, you can also. Oh boy, it feels so weird just listening to his louder background, and then finally, like when it's done, I feel like I'm in a very silent place. Um, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, okay,
I
good deal.
just mute my mic when I'm not talking.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say about
When,
yeah, cryptocurrency and the whole oh, he just said it. Blockchain. Blockchain, I think, is the it's the most feared process by banks and all centralized. Blockchain is the enemy of all centralized. That's what I want to say.
yeah, actually, I did some research into that stuff for school, but trying to recall exactly what each thing was is a little difficult. Like looking stuff up as as you're talking about it. But yeah, uh, not really sure what to say about all that stuff. But I don't really look or try to get too involved with all that
Right.
stuff because honestly, I think it's just gonna end up going away. Um,
You mean in
but we do
cryptocurrency
need another.
altogether?
Um, I mean, I definitely think it could. I think that there are powerful people that could make that happen.
Right. If they push hard enough,
Which
I
is
guess so.
why, yeah, which is why I don't even remember the name of the TV show, but there was a TV show that ultimately came up with, like in the show, they come up with a completely new currency. It wasn't cryptocurrency, it wasn't blockchain, it wasn't Bitcoin, any of that stuff. It was literally its own currency, and it, the show is just basically about the all the stuff that they come into trying to uh, make their product, really, I guess, come to fruition. It was pretty insightful as far as the realities, the corruption and stuff that goes on in business dealings at those high levels with millions or billions of dollars.
Right.
But you know what I'm referring to?
No, I don't,
Well,
unfortunately. I'm sorry.
I'll try looking it up so I can
Well,
say it later. But
JJ, I'm sorry to say, but I'm getting a bit tired too. I got work tomorrow, and so it's
anyways,
been going. Yeah, it's been going on for a while. I don't usually mind, but when I get tired, I'm like, I just want to, go and crash, and then I gotta get up and do the whole cycle all over again. So if you don't mind, if you do find it, post it.
yeah,
In
it's
the
called Startup.
startup. Okay.
S- Yeah,
Yeah, no, I haven't heard of it. But
it's called Startup. It's on Netflix.
okay. Yeah, no, I don't usually don't have a chance to really even begin to watch something new. I just watch short stuff, funny things or whatever, and then I come back, either do this or continue doing stuff around the house, as I mentioned early in the show. But I want to thank you again for coming on. I'm sorry, but can't go much longer because I'm just really drained of energy right now. It's just
No
too,
worries. Thank you for
it's
having me.
too. Yeah, no, anytime. I just hope next time, if you can, get on a bit early, and then we can continue earlier when my brain is still a bit more fresh than it is now.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'll try to jump on. I'll actually be starting school tomorrow.
Oh, okay, good deal. Well, have
So
fun with that.
I'll be a bit busier, but yeah, thanks. Still online right now. I got my
Right,
religious exemption form being accepted. Thank
right,
God. But yeah, it is what it is. But
right. Good
I'll
deal.
definitely be back on at some point again.
Right. All right. Well,
Thank you.
JJ, thank you. I appreciate it. So yes, as I said, sorry, I have to. I'm getting tired, and it's like I'm gonna fall asleep here soon because it's close to 10:30 here. And yes, I know it's a lot later for you know Hazel and Fab is and all that. It's in Europe because it's a lot. I guess early in the morning, and though you've already been watching for quite a while, so I certainly appreciate it. But um, this is really pushing it for me because if I manage to go to bed at midnight, I would have to then get up around 6, go to work and do the whole thing again. But just real quick, tomorrow at 7 p.m., I'm going to have Penny Kelly back on. There's a lot of people that on Telegram were just loving that first interview, and they wanted to come back. So what I was thinking about her coming back with just straight with the Q&A. She might cover a little bit maybe in the beginning if there's something for her to talk about, and I'll check with her about that first. But it was just basically about immediately with your guys' questions. So I hope you come ready asking whatever you want to ask of her, and that would kind of be the beginning or the how I would start the show out, because we already did an interview. If you're interested to see it, it's called Ropes, a book of coming changes, and so you can rewatch that again just to kind of, I guess, get a refresher before maybe having some questions based on that interview for her. Tomorrow, that would be the opportunity to either do it in chat or to do chat or on Telegram to just log in and ask her yourself. So anyway, tomorrow 7 p.m. Central Time here in the US. I don't know what that makes it wherever you are. I hope you can figure that out. But Penny Kelly is going to be on, and we're going to do question and answers. So again, thank you all very much. I appreciate you for tuning in, and I guess just try to have fun. Maybe consider what I was saying earlier, very early in the show. Don't do anything with fear. Just simply, just get ready, have some things to make his life a bit comfortable if and when things don't work out for the powers to be, and they really try to crack down that you're not going to be that much in a pinch. But in either case, I hope you enjoy the rest of the day or rest of the night, good night, whichever, wherever. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.